Good afternoon, everyone. Please be seated. Routine proceedings, introduction of bills, committee reports, tabling of reports, ministerial statements. The Honourable Minister of Education and Early Childhood Learning.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Today, during what is Treaty Week here in Manitoba, I rise to affirm our government's commitment to continue building a province and an education system that reflects the histories, voices, and rights of every child, advances equity and safety for every learner, and strengthens the shared future we are building together. In Manitoba, Indigenous education is not a component of learning, it is foundational. This is why our government, in partnership with the Treaty Relations Commission of Manitoba, has mandated for all teachers in Manitoba to be trained in treaty education for all. It's why our Indigenous Excellence Team continues working with and in community with our education partners, deepening the work of Mama Tawisawin, the Indigenous Education Policy Framework. And it's why we continue to work diligently towards the release of a comprehensive anti-racism policy directive for all school divisions. Honourable Speaker, our Premier has been very clear, and I quote, "My view is if you're a child who has experienced racism, if you're somebody who is expressing your gender identity in a certain way and people are hating you for that, 1, you should be free from that. 2, you should be able to call it out. And 3, you should forgive and accept the apology if somebody does try to atone and make amends." End quote. But, Honourable Speaker, it's not only the Premier that we can look to for this kind of leadership. We can look to the youth. At this time, I would like to recognize a young champion. With us in the gallery is Theo Osborne, accompanied by his mother, Melissa, his dad, Edward, and his sister, Talise. Theo carries the beauty, resilience, and courage of his ancestors and his home community of Pimichikamak Cree Nation. As a grade 6 student, Theo's education includes ceremony, particularly sweat lodge and sun dance. As a distinguished traditional grass dancer and an aspiring chicken dancer, Theo's spirit of dedication and humility reflect how we should relate to one another and the land. And through the length of his braided hair, we learn of his love and dedication to his grandfather and his connection to his culture. Honourable Speaker, from time to time, we may forget that we have so much more in common than we do that makes us different. And what's worse, we might even use those differences to try and hurt one another. But thanks to the example set by individuals like Theo, we are reminded that we always have an opportunity to learn, grow, and do better. We're also reminded that education serves as the greatest source of light from the darkness of racism. When we can speak and accept the truth, we can reconcile and heal from our past and truly advance together up the mountain that the late Honourable Murray Sinclair, Mazina Gizekiban, described for us. The position of this government is to walk with everyone together on this journey. We recognize that our greatest resource is our relationship to one another, from government to government, community to community, from person to person. When one of us hurts, all of us hurts. And when one of us rises, we all rise as one Manitoba. Today, we acknowledge Theo and his family for their leadership and for leading with hope, forgiveness, and with pride in yourselves and who you are. Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. I invite all my colleagues to stand and honour Theo Osborne.
The Honourable Member for Lac du Bonny.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. And I, on behalf of the Progressive Conservative team on this side, welcome Theo and his family, of course, to the gallery today, especially during Treaty Education Week as well, Honourable Speaker. Today I rise to speak about the deep, troubling incident that Theo had to endure at his school last month. No child should ever go to school fearing violence, bullying, or discrimination. Schools must be places of safety, respect, and opportunity where every student feels valued and supported, regardless of their background or identity. The reports surrounding this incident are deeply disturbing. Allegations of racially motivated bullying and violence directed at a young Indigenous student are unacceptable and have no place in Manitoba schools or in our society. Other issues like meth and fentanyl on school sites, the ability for strangers to grab children in school bathrooms, among many instances of bullying, are also deeply disturbing, but an unfortunate reality under this current government. Our previous government introduced the mandatory Respect in Schools and Respect in Sport programs, working with the Canadian Centre for Child Protection and other advocates, along with Mamatuisuin, which was an Indigenous policy framework introduced by our previous PC government to promote Indigenous excellence in schools. Our government put these programs and frameworks in place because we take preventative approaches. This government, the Canoe government, unfortunately have to take reactionary approaches. Why is this minister only reacting instead of preventing? What did Kelly Barkman do as a provincial advisor for the Hanover School Division Board of Trustees? That's right, Honourable Speaker. We don't actually know. Every child deserves the chance to learn in a safe environment, free from intimidation and hate. Parents deserve confidence that when they send their children to school, their well-being will be protected and concerns will be taken seriously. I want to recognize the courage shown by Theo and his family in speaking publicly about their experience. Sharing these difficult experiences are not easy, but it has started important conversations across Manitoba. Honourable Speaker, at this time I'd also like to pass along condolences to the Hudson family and the community members of Poplar River, where the tragic loss of 6-year-old Veronica Hudson had happened over the weekend. To Theo and his family, we extend our support and wish him and them strength and healing in the months ahead. Let this be a moment where we recommit ourselves as legislators, teachers, parents, community leaders, to building schools and communities grounded in respect, safety, and opportunity for every child. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Further ministerial statements, member statements. The Honourable Minister of Education and Early Childhood Learning.
Honourable Speaker, I rise today to recognize the hard work of our incredible postal workers in Rossmere and right across Manitoba. At a time when many neighbourhoods are facing the loss of door-to-door delivery, it is more important than ever to recognize the essential role that letter carriers play in our communities. For more than 100 years, letter carriers have been a steady and trusted presence in our neighbourhoods through snowstorms and heat waves. They are the familiar faces we see in our communities each day, working to keep Canadians connected. They build relationships with seniors, they support local businesses, and they connect us to one another in ways both big and small. And in a province as vast as Manitoba, postal services are more than just a service. They are a lifeline. Postal workers deliver everyday essentials like diapers, life-saving medications, and life-giving birthday cards from Grandma to each and every corner of our province at a cost that Manitobans can reliably afford. But postal workers have delivered more than just parcels for Canadians. For decades, the Canadian Union of Postal Workers has fought for fair wages and benefits and stronger health and safety protections that have resonated far beyond the postal system. Advances like paid maternity leave, bargained in 1981 and later adopted by the federal government as a benefit owed to all Canadians. Just one of the major advancements that CUPW made for women and towards pay equity in our country. The Canadian Union of Postal Workers have also established a child care fund so that their members, of which I once was so very proudly, can access affordable, high-quality childcare while they go and work and serve their communities. Honourable Speaker, very few people work harder than our postal workers. It is my sincere hope that for many years to come, the people of Rossmere will continue to see those trusted letter carriers delivering mail door to door with the dedication, reliability, and care that have long defined their service. Let us all express our deepest appreciation for the postal workers of CUPW Local 856, representing postal workers across Manitoba, whose commitment and resilience exemplify the very best of Manitoba. Through their service, our history lives, connections endure, and the values of fairness and solidarity are renewed in every single neighbourhood that they serve. I ask my colleagues to join me in recognizing Sean Tugme, Myron May, Leslie Clark, Ernie Boyley, and Reese Houston, and the postal workers across Manitoba that serve us every single day.
The Honourable Member for Agassiz.
Agassiz constituency is made up of strong communities, dedicated families, farmers, small business owners, volunteers, and community leaders who work every day to make Manitoba a great place to live, work, and raise a family. Agriculture producers, entrepreneurs, to business owners, professionals, and tradespeople, the residents of Agassiz represent the very best of Manitoba values: hard work, resilience, and community spirit. Agriculture is the backbone of the region. Producers are facing higher input costs, uncertainty in global markets, rising transportation expenses, and increasing fuel costs, and these people deserve a government that understands the realities they face and supports growth instead of creating more barriers. Families are facing challenges accessing affordable and reliable childcare. A lack of childcare spaces makes it harder for parents to return to work and support their families. There are incredible volunteers in many organizations, but with the rising costs, it is difficult for many of these organizations to operate, such as handy transit services. They have not received increased funding despite growing operational costs and increasing demand. Healthcare remains a major concern for residents. Communities need better access to services, including the need of a CT scanner at the new Neepawa Hospital. Rural families deserve timely access to quality health care close to home. Infrastructure remains a serious issue, with highways 352, 5, and 34 all in need of repair and maintenance. Safe, reliable roads are critical for producers, businesses, families, and emergency services, yet it continues to be neglected. Manitobans are struggling. Families are finding it difficult to afford fuel, and for some, even the cost of registering a vehicle has become a growing financial burden. The Manitoba Jobs Agreement will hurt local tradespeople and businesses by increasing project costs. Rural Manitoba businesses should be given opportunities to grow and succeed, not pushed out by government policy. The people of Agassiz are proud, independent, and deeply connected to their communities.
Honourable Member's time has expired. Is there leave for the Honourable Member to finish her statement? I hear a no. The Honourable Member for Thompson.
Honourable Speaker, I rise today to honour Elder Jack Robinson, a Cree elder whose life is woven into the very foundation of Thompson. Elder Robinson, whose spirit name is Opapatiwi Napeo, or Heatwave Man. He was born in Cross Lake and raised in Norway House. At 16 years old, he came north looking for work, arriving before Thompson was Thompson, before nickel was discovered, when the place we now call home was still tents and camps. He worked hard physical jobs, including as a driller, and helped build the city from the ground up. From there, he went on to serve as a child welfare worker, and for more than 25 years has been part of the Mamawitak Friendship Center, where he served as a cultural support coordinator, alcohol and drug counselor, and traditional herbalist, alongside being an excellent mentor for our youth. In an era where traditional knowledge faces the constant threat of being lost, Elder Jack Robinson remains an accessible, passionate storyteller to youth and adults. He generously shares his ancestral legends and teachings so future generations can understand the profound moral lessons embedded within our oral history, and advocates strongly for Indigenous peoples' customs and traditions to be expressed loud and proud. Honourable Speaker, Elder Jack Robinson is a living bridge between Thompson's humble beginnings and its hopeful future. He embodies our city's very spirit, and it is a great honour for me to honour a man who has inspired us Thompsonites for many, many decades. I humbly ask all members of this House to join me in recognizing this remarkable elder for his outstanding leadership and selfless dedication to the people of Thompson. Thanks, Honourable Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Lac Du Bonnet.
It is truly an honor and a privilege to represent the incredible constituency of Lac Du Bonnet. Our region boasts stunning landscapes offering endless opportunities for outdoor activities. From hiking along scenic trails to fishing in our pristine lakes, the natural beauty here is unmatched. We are also home to numerous cultural and historical treasures, including the St. George Museum, Whiteshell Museum, Whitemouth Museum, East Braintree Museum, and the Pioneer Village Museum, also known as the Broken Head Beausejour Pioneer Village Museum. These institutions preserve our rich heritage and educate future generations, thanks to the support and funding from the former Progressive Conservative government. For golf enthusiasts, Lac du Bonny is a true paradise featuring exceptional courses such as Victoria Beach, Grand Pines, Pine Falls, Mars Hills, Granite Hills, Black Bear, Pinawa, Falcon Lake, and River's Edge in Beausejour. Each course offers unique experiences and fosters community spirit. As your MLA, I am committed to advocating for the needs and aspirations of our residents. Together, we can enhance the quality of life in Lac du Bonny through collaboration and community development initiatives, despite what is happening with the unaffordable times under this current Canoe government. We know that real cost savings and real bumps to the positive for individuals, like raising the basic personal exemption to $30,000. We're hoping that the Canoe government today will see their way through the trees and bump the basic personal exemption so that every Manitoban can save more and more money. Honourable Speaker, I am grateful for the trust that they have placed in me. Let us celebrate the beauty, history, and spirit of Lac du Bonny as we work together toward a brighter future for our community. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Tuxedo.
Honourable Speaker, today it is my joy to recognize one of the true gems of Tuxedo, the Leaf at Assiniboine Park. Since opening its doors, the Leaf has become far more than an architectural landmark. It is a gathering place that brings people together from across Winnipeg and across Manitoba. Inside, visitors journey through 4 stunning biomes, from the lush Hartley and Heather Richardson tropical biome, home to Canada's largest indoor waterfall, to the Mediterranean biome, the Babs Asper Display House, and the Shirley Richardson Butterfly Garden, a special favorite of my own. These spaces allow Manitobans to experience the richness of global plant life year-round, even in the cold depths of Manitoba winters. Surrounding the Leaf are 30 acres of public gardens and green space that evolve with the seasons, offering accessible outdoor beauty to everyone who visits. Beyond the gardens, the Leaf hosts workshops, educational programs, community events, and cultural gatherings that help people of all ages connect with nature and especially with each other. Honourable Speaker, the Leaf reflects what makes Tuxedo special: community, culture, learning, and shared experience. It is a place where people gather, celebrate, and find inspiration through the art of being together. Please join me in celebrating the Leaf and the dedicated staff and volunteers that make such a vibrant and welcoming place. It is truly a point of pride for Tuxedo and for all of Manitoba. Thank you.
Oral questions. The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition.
Before I get into my question, a lot's happened since last week when we sat here. I want to congratulate the Niverville Nighthawks for being the MJHL and Centennial Cup champions in the junior A. Congratulations to the Niverville Nighthawks. Now on to some sad news. The Premier wants you to believe that he will be the fastest person in the history of this planet to export LNG in just 3 years. It took 9 years to build the Alaska pipeline. It took 13 years to build the pipeline from Dawson Creek, BC to Kitimat, BC. But this Premier wants you to believe he can do it in 3 years. No one is believing this Premier. Alberta just signed a deal that would take them up to 7 years to build, and from now that would estimate 2034 completion dates. But this canoe government wants you to think he can do it in 3 years. Will the Premier come clean today and tell Manitobans he has no plan?
Time has expired. The Honourable First Minister.
Honourable Speaker, I want to congratulate the Niverville Nighthawks for winning the Centennial Cup. Best junior A team in the country. Amazing. And the first MJ champion in decades to win the national title. I also want to congratulate the Flin Flon Bombers for winning the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League, which means that the best team in Manitoba and the best team in Saskatchewan are both located right here in our great province. But of course, if you listen to the member opposite, it's not possible. Could never happen. No. Don't even get out of bed, because why even try? So just like Niverville and just like Flin Flon, who said we're not going to listen to the haters, we're going to get it done, so too the province of Manitoba. Bring on a brighter future.
Yay! The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition on a supplementary question.
On top of unrealistic timelines is the fact that this Premier claimed he wanted to have Indigenous consultation and buy-in, and that he would create an Indigenous Crown Corp or he would not proceed. Well, almost 3 years into the Premier's mandate, there is no Indigenous Crown Corporation, but what he did manage to do was start up a government-private company, pretending to act as a Crown Corporation without any past legislation in this House. A government-owned company with no accountability makes no sense, does it, Manitoba? And that's right. This Premier is circumventing legislation. He has not brought anything forward that would legislate an Indigenous Crown Corporation. So the question to the Premier is, why is he misleading Manitobans, and why is he circumventing legislation of an Indigenous Crown Corporation to push through projects that he will control?
His time has expired. The Honourable First Minister.
So apparently the first question was complete nonsense, because he's criticizing the process that we're using to build the Port of Churchill. So quit wasting our time and get out of the way. While you're at it, quit wasting our time on the budget bill. I'm trying to make groceries cheaper.
Please. Order, please. Just remind members to always address their comments through the chair. The Honourable Leader, the Honourable First Minister.
So again, when we look at the track record on that side of the House, every single one of them cheered on a campaign to target the victims of a serial killer. They ran on not searching the landfill. We showed that they were wrong. We showed that it was possible, and we brought dignity to those families. So I wouldn't listen to too much that they have to say about anything Indigenous, including responses to ministerial statements. Right. On the other hand, we are working together, drafting legislation with the input of Indigenous governments in Manitoba. I look forward to introducing that to Tzvit.
The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition on a final supplementary question.
A legal process must be followed in this legislature. The Premier might be comfortable with breaking the law. In this chamber, we're not. Legislation has to be passed in order for a Crown Corporation to be formed. There is no legislation before this House. Therefore, there is no Crown Corporation. Therefore, the timeline of 3 years to export LNG is completely fabricated and unrealistic. The Premier is not telling Manitobans the reality of the situation we're in. And that is Manitoba's economy is ranked dead last. This Premier has no plan to export LNG in the next 3 years. Will he come clean to Manitobans today and tell them that he has no plans to grow our economy, no plans for Churchill, and there is no Indigenous Crown Corporation in Manitoba?
The Honourable First Minister. We've got the strongest economy and the lowest unemployment rate in the entire country. I'll table the documents for the members opposite. And we're going to keep growing the economy, including by building the Port of Churchill. Well, the members opposite say we can't. and they want to have their ball and go home, we remind them that the ball doesn't belong to you. The future belongs to the people of Manitoba and those who are going to work hard together to build it. So while they're busy trying to find new avenues of hate, we're trying to find new avenues of unity to build a bright future together for all of our children.
Order, please. I just remind the Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition that saying things such as, will the Premier come clean? I cautioned members previously about that. It's very close to suggesting that someone is not telling the truth, so I would caution the Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition. Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition.
With an answer like that, it's no wonder Manitobans do not trust this Premier, because they are sick and tired of the spin job that he spews every single day to the camera. Every day, this government ignores our questions, makes personal attacks, heckles, and pretends that a couple pennies off of your junk food will make all the difference. I spoke to a single mother living in Lagimodiere over the weekend that shared that her property tax bill went up hundreds of dollars last year and hundreds of dollars again this year. After all the NDP Ponzi scams of rebates, she's paying more than $600 in education and property taxes than she ever did under the previous PC government. Under this NDP, property taxes in Waverley, Lagimodiere, Tuxedo, Kirkfield Park, Fort Richmond, and McPhillips have all increased. Will the Premier tell Manitobans that he has? Will he apologize to Manitobans for
Member's
taking
time has
millions of dollars?
expired. The Honourable First Minister.
I'm sorry that the Leader of the Opposition is so full of darkness and negativity. So yucky all the time. Jeez. Gross. Spring is here in Manitoba. The sun is starting to shine. The lowest unemployment rate in the country. And we're following up. Cutting the gas tax, which gives us lower gas prices in Saskatchewan, for the record, even though they have a refinery, by taking all the tax off at the grocery store. This is a no-brainer after Manitobans have been asking for help with grocery prices for years. Who are the only people in Manitoba who don't want us to make grocery prices lower? The members of the PC caucus. So we're looking forward to them renewing their Netflix subscriptions and polishing up their LinkedIn profiles as they spend the entire summer here debating our great budget bill to make your grocery prices cheaper. And you know what the LinkedIn part is about when they have to seek new employment. Yay!
The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition.
This is not a serious Premier. All jokes, insults, laughing, smiling at the camera, dismissing Manitobans' needs, dismissing the need of your family to have more money in your pocket to pay your bills. This Premier wants to laugh in the chamber about his PST junk food tax. He thinks that saving you pennies off a bag of chips or a can of pop is going to make your life more affordable. On this side of the House, we want real change for Manitobans. The Premier might not notice how much Manitobans are struggling, but they are. So we've proposed an increase of the basic personal exemption to $30,000, giving Manitobans up to $3,000 back. He refuses to do so. But will he compromise? Will he increase the basic personal exemption to $21,000, giving Manitobans at least $1,000 back? He wants to save you money on junk food. We want to give you $1,000 back. Will he do the right thing today and support it?
Member's time has expired. The Honourable First Minister.
Honourable Speaker, the budget we brought forward this year has record investments in healthcare. It has huge funding for schools. It also takes the tax off of all groceries in Manitoba. It builds the Highway 1 twinning project and the Carberry overpass on the Trans-Canada. There's so much good news in this budget. The members opposite, it's very clear, do not understand the basics of public finance. They're proposing $1 billion in cuts to government funding. That means firing every single nurse in the province of Manitoba. It is completely ridiculous. That's why we don't take them seriously. We take you and your family seriously. Ask yourself if you want grocery prices to be lower. And if you answer yes, then ask the PCs why they don't let our budget bill pass today.
The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition.
Let's recap what the Premier said. Healthcare is worse under his NDP government. Education property taxes have gone up $1 billion. This NDP government has taken over $1 billion of increased taxes from your back pockets, page 7 of their budget. And now he proposes a junk food tax, saving you pennies on a bag of chips or a can of pop. As a direct result of this NDP government, families are now paying more. Families that own their houses are seeing record increases in education property taxes. A junk food tax saving you pennies will not make up for the hundreds of dollars, if not thousands of dollars, this NDP government has taken from you. Will the Premier do what is best for Manitobans today? Put all the jokes, all the laughing, all the smiling aside and support our call for basic personal exemption and give Manitobans back more money that they deserve.
Here, here.
The Honourable First Minister.
Honourable Speaker, in addition to taking the tax off of all groceries, in addition to record funding for hospitals and schools, in addition to simple things like new plastic health cards, this year's budget also has the lowest deficit in all of Canada. Now, the members opposite want us to go back in time. They want us to go back to a $2 billion deficit that they left us on the way out. They want us to go back to hatred amongst Manitobans, pitting neighbor against neighbor. And apparently now, they also want us to go back to a miserable, miserly time of not smiling. What? This is not a serious opposition. Come on, guys. You have in front of you a plan to save money at the grocery store, save money at the gas station, invest in healthcare and education, and to have the lowest deficit in the country. Who would oppose that? Only the members opposite. The rest of Manitoba stands united.
The Honourable Member for Midland.
The numbers are in, and they are not good. Manitoba is leading the country in inflation under the Canoe government. Statistics Canada CPI Index is reporting Manitoba's inflation rose to 4.3% in April, the highest in the country, and well above the national average. Food inflation is the highest in the country at 4.9%. Manitoba is trending in the wrong direction as the cost of living is getting increasingly worse under the NDP. Why has the NDP allowed Manitoba's cost of living to become the worst in the country?
Oh, great.
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Honourable Speaker, the only people in the province standing between Manitobans and more money in their pockets are the members opposite. That's right. They're stopping Manitobans from getting a PST cut off all groceries across the province. They're standing in the way of an increased renter's tax credit. They're standing in the way of higher education property tax benefits for Manitobans. We know that for years they didn't take action. We know that they don't have a focus on everyday regular Manitobans. This team does. We ask the members opposite today, will they finally stop with the games and get on board, support BITSA so we can put more money into Manitobans' pockets July 1st? Yes or no?
The Honourable Member for Midland on a supplementary question.
We're willing to compromise. The question is whether the minister and his boss are willing to compromise. We want to save Manitobans more money, more of their hard-earned money in their pockets. And that's because Winnipeg is becoming more expensive than places like Toronto and Vancouver. We have higher provincial income taxes, higher education property taxes, all the while utilities, gas, and food continue to skyrocket under the Canoe government. The NDP cancelled indexation on income taxes, being the only province in Canada to do so. With Manitoba now having the highest inflation in the country, Manitobans deserve real financial relief now. Will the NDP do the right thing, increase the basic personal exemption, and bring back indexation
Time has expired.
today?
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Honourable Speaker, if they want to help Manitobans, get out of the way and pass the BITSA bill. Do it today. Look, a lot of important work has been done for lowering costs for Manitobans. We brought in a permanent 10% gas tax cut that's helping save Manitobans money every single day. We've increased the renter's tax credit that the members opposite cut, making life more expensive for renters. We've got the biggest education property tax credits going out the door ever in Manitoba history, thanks to the work we're doing again to focus on supporting lowering costs for Manitobans. And now, with our most recent BITSA bill, we're proposing to take the PST off all food and grocery stores, including bringing in other important benefits like taking away costs for transit for students and beyond.
The Honourable Member for Midland on a final supplementary question.
This NDP government is the only government in Canada that is not recognizing the very real inflationary pressures that are hitting Manitobans as this cost of living is getting worse under the government. They clearly don't understand that because they have not increased the basic personal exemption. They removed indexation that accounts for those inflationary pressures at the same time as food, fuel, utilities, and property taxes are some of the highest in Canada. It's clear that Manitoba is in a very real cost of living crisis, and it is getting worse, not better, under the Canoe government. And the numbers today from the CPI index tells that story. The NDP has provided no affordability relief. Will they do the right thing, come to the table, and compromise today?
Time has expired. The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Honourable Speaker, we did bring in a broad middle-class tax cut. We increased the basic personal exemption, and we changed brackets so that less of Manitobans' income is taxed at those higher levels. We know there's important work to be done to continue to bring more affordability to Manitobans, and we know that they continue to be faced with food affordability challenges. That's why we've done things like freeze the price of a 1-litre jug of milk. That's why we've done things like bring in more grocery competition. That's why we're taking on predatory pricing when it comes to groceries. But we know that Manitobans still need that direct, targeted relief. So again, there's only one group of folks in this whole province standing against that tax relief, taking that PST off groceries. Will the member opposite, will that entire team stand today, do the right thing, and finally do something in support of Manitobans?
Time has expired. The Honourable Member for Lac du Bonny.
Well, it's obvious, Honourable Speaker, that the Finance Minister has not spoken to the Families Minister because the Families Minister has called estimates today, Honourable Speaker. So we're not talking about the BITSA bill today. Honourable Speaker, the Louis Riel School Division says that their financial position has eroded. This is why they have increased their property taxes by 43% over the last 3 years. PC government had funded Louis Riel by $23.2 million. Under the NDP, only $12 million over the last 3 years. Honourable Speaker, Manitobans just can't afford this Canoe government. Will the Minister for Education come up with a fair funding model today for all Manitoba?
The Honourable Minister of Education and Early Childhood Learning.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, and it gives me great pleasure to rise in this chamber again and to talk about the new fair funding model that the Manitoba NDP has introduced here in Manitoba after 7.5 years of cuts and chaos under the PCs. Right. Manitobans and the education sector now know that every single year, every single school division can rely on steady and predictable increases to their budgets. So, and why do we do that, Honourable Speaker? We do it for teachers and we do it for kids. Since we've come into government, Honourable Speaker, in just the first 2 years, more than 800 new teachers teaching here in Manitoba, more than 1,600 new educational assistants, clinicians, so that kids can have
expired. The Honourable Member for Lac du Bonny on a supplementary question.
So once again, Honourable Speaker, it just shows the total disconnect that this minister has with the grassroots within the education world here in Manitoba, Honourable Speaker. Matter of fact, I don't know why that the member from Transcona doesn't stand up and actually have a conversation with the Minister of Education and explain what it's like to be in its classroom day in and day out. River East Transcona, Honourable Speaker, is raising their school taxes over the last 3 years by the tune of 36%. Under this NDP in the last 3 years have given River East Transcona School Division less than half of what we gave in our last 3 years. Again, Honourable Speaker, Manitobans can't afford this canoe government. Will she actually come up with a fair...
The Honourable Minister of Education and Early Childhood Learning.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, and I'm glad that the member from Lac du Bonny brings up the member for Transcona, who I'm so very grateful to work with. And the member from Lac du Bonny only needs to ask himself and the people that he worked with around the cabinet table as to why we have so many teachers and educators on this side of the caucus. Honourable Speaker, it's not just the member from Transcona, it's the member from River Heights, it's the member for Brandon East, it's the member for Riel, it's the member for St. River, it is the member for Transcona, it's also the member for St. Boniface. And why do we have so many teachers in our caucus, Honourable Speaker? Because we could not sit by. We could not sit by and allow the cuts and the chaos years after years. Honourable Speaker, it's the member for Lac du Bonny that drove teachers.
Expired. The Honourable Member for Lac du Bonny on a final supplementary question.
And Honourable Speaker, not one of those teachers on the NDP side are a Minister of Education, Honourable Speaker. She is so disconnected with the grassroots. I mean, don't take it from me, take it from MTS President Lillian Klauser, that all we're seeing today, once again, is political theatrics, Honourable Speaker. Pembina Trail School Division has raised their taxes over the last 3 years by 37%. The Pembina Trail School Division under the NDP have received a merely 1/5 of the money that they received from us. Get this minister out of the way, take the kids, take the students, take the teachers at heart, listen to the grassroots, and come up with a fair funding model for all Manitobans.
Time has expired. The Honourable Minister of Education and Early Childhood Learning.
Honourable Member, I apologize. Honourable Speaker, the member from Lac du Bonny is completely out of touch, but this is what we've learned to expect from the member from Lac du Bonny. This is the same member who stood up in this chamber and said that the $30 million Universal School Nutrition Program was a bad idea. So I asked the member from Lac du Bonny if he will get out of the way and support BITSA today to make sure that kids have free nutrition in schools, to make sure that our $10 million free transit program for youth is implemented, to make sure that the PST comes off groceries, to make sure that there's free childcare for the Manitobans that need it most. Honourable Speaker, he proved that he could not lead. Will today he get out of the way?
The Honourable Member for La Vérendrye.
Honourable Speaker, the fact is many Manitobans are opening their tax bills today and seeing massive increases under this NDP. The increase is so big, the City of Winnipeg even included an insert explaining that the tax hike is the result of this NDP government downloading education costs back onto the school boards and municipalities. At a time when Manitoba already has weak economic growth, declining exports, and families struggling to afford everyday life, why is this government making Manitoba even more expensive to live and invest in?
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Honourable Speaker, it gives me great pleasure to stand here and talk about all the important work that we're doing to lower costs for Manitobans, including, of course, through the very important education and property tax rebates that are bringing more money into Manitobans' pockets and communities, including like the one in the member opposite's community, where we know more than 9 out of 10 people are better off as a function of our education property tax credit. We're bringing the savings, and of course, today we're asking once again for the members opposite to stop playing games with Manitobans, get out of the way, and allow us to bring in more savings into their pockets by July 1st so we can take the PST off all groceries. Will the member opposite stand up and say yes to that proposal? Yes or no?
The honourable member for La-Vérendrye on a supplementary question.
Honourable Speaker, I'm not sure the minister even knows where my constituency is, and that's because my constituents know that higher property taxes don't just hurt homeowners. They hurt small businesses, manufacturers, farms, investors who are already questioning whether Manitoba is competitive enough to expand in. And that's because when businesses see rising taxes, rising regulation, weak growth, and exports down by more than 27% in just this year, they start looking to provinces with lower costs and better investment climate. Does this government not understand their punishing property tax increases are driving investment, jobs, and economic growth out of our province?
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. You know, when we talk to businesses in Manitoba, they want to see a government do the work, which we're doing, of keeping life affordable. They also want to see their government behave in a way that's fiscally sustainable. We know the members opposite are bringing in proposals here that would see us go down the path of having another $2 billion deficit. We know they're not focused on fiscal sustainability. They showed us that with the big mess that they left us to clean up when they were on their way out the door. What are we bringing in? Real affordability investments, real healthcare investments, while we brought forward the lowest deficit in the entire country. We're doing that work. We're going to keep making life more affordable. Will the member opposite support, yes or no?
The honourable member for La-Vérendrye on a final supplementary question.
Honourable Speaker, the facts under this NDP government is that Manitoba families are paying more for housing, more for groceries, more for utilities, and now dramatically more for property taxes. Manitoba's economy is weak, exports are collapsing, and families are being squeezed from every direction. This government keeps shifting costs onto local taxpayers because they don't know how to grow the economy. Will this government finally admit that higher taxes and a weak economic plan are making Manitoba less affordable and less competitive each and every single day?
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Honourable Speaker, when the members opposite left government, they left a fiscal disaster. They left a $2 billion hole that Manitobans were forced to climb out of. That's due to their inability to plan, their lack of accountability. We know what they're capable of. And again, the proposals they're bringing forward would bring us back to the exact same place. What are we doing? We're making huge transformational investments in healthcare. We're making life more affordable, and we're doing that work while we're staying on a fiscally sustainable path. Manitobans know they can trust this team to do both things at the same time. We know under the members opposite we can expect more chainsaw cuts and more deficits. That's not where we want to go. We know that we need to do more work to lower costs. Again, will the members opposite stand up today, do something useful, and support pizza? Yes or no?
The Honourable Member for Roblin.
In December, the Thompson Hospital was grey-listed by nurses due to ongoing serious safety concerns. And just last month, the Northern Health Region called a state of emergency over nursing vacancies at the Thompson Hospital. Media reported a nursing vacancy rate of 73%. Wow. But just a few months ago, the Premier insisted that Manitoba has enough nurses. So what is the current nursing vacancy rate at the Thompson Hospital?
The Honourable Minister of Health, Seniors and Long-Term Care.
Honourable Speaker, our government is working very closely with our partners across the province in every single region, including the north, to make sure that we are not only repairing the damage that was done to healthcare, but supporting the regions in developing an approach that is not only sustainable for healthcare in the immediate, but the long term. I do have a question for the critic, though. I talked to a number of her constituents over the weekend who are very concerned that she's not condemning the fact that her party is actively recruiting people who are against a woman's right to choose. I told those folks who reached out, her constituents, that I would ask that question of her. Does she support a women's right to choose and make their own healthcare decisions, yes or no?
Wow.
The honourable member for Roblin on a supplementary question.
Earlier this year, against the advice of frontline workers who warned that it would cause chaos in many areas of the province, the NDP government ordered RHAs to stop using agency nurses. Because again, the Premier insisted Manitoba has enough nurses, so they ploughed ahead. It caused dire staffing shortages and chaos at hospitals in Dauphin and Swan River, and the NDP was forced to rescind the directive. Wow. So I'll ask the minister if they know what is the current nursing vacancy rate at the hospitals in Dauphin and Swan River.
The Honourable Minister of Health, Seniors and Long-Term Care.
Honourable Speaker, we have over 4,000 net new healthcare workers right here in Manitoba. We're training more healthcare workers in this province today than we ever have before. But Honourable Speaker, I'm going to follow through on my commitment to her constituents. The majority of them are women who reached out to me over the weekend asking if I knew whether or not their MLA stands on the side of women having the ability to make their own healthcare choices. They're recruiting candidates who are against a woman's right to choose, who are anti-choice and want to strip away women's rights across Manitoba. Is the member for Roblin in support of women's rights to choose? Does she support abortion as healthcare? Yes or no?
Here, here. The honourable member for Roblin on a final supplementary question.
The minister to focus on the issue at hand, and that's healthcare in rural and northern Manitoba. Just this morning, MNU President Darlene Jackson told CJOB that this NDP government is not working collaboratively with frontline nurses to address safety issues, burnout and vacancies, and that this NDP government just expects nurses to be their cheerleaders. Under this government, vacancy rates in rural and northern hospitals are hitting astounding highs, 73% in Thompson, a hospital that is also the subject of an ongoing grey listing. Since the Northern Health Region declared a state of emergency 3 weeks ago, exactly how many nurses has this minister hired in Thompson, the Pas, Dauphin and Swan River?
The Honourable Minister of Health, Seniors and Long-Term Care.
Honourable Speaker, we continue to hire nurses. We have a net new over 1,400 nurses working across the province, including in the NRHA and in Prairie Mountain Health. And we're training more nurses today than we ever have in our province. But Honourable Speaker, I'm going to table the article written by a PC candidate, someone who has supported and celebrated the overturning of Roe v. Wade in the United States. Her constituents are asking, women across Manitoba are asking, does the member for Roblin stand on the side of women's rights to choose? As the critic for healthcare, does she recognize that abortion is healthcare? She can answer that question today for her constituents and women across Manitoba. Is her answer yes or no? And I'll table the document for her constituents to read.
Hear, hear.
The honourable member for St. River.
Honourable Speaker, after years of cuts and neglect from the previous PC government that failed students, workers and families across Manitoba, our government's taking a different approach. We know strong literacy, education and training opportunities help families, help them out of poverty and build a stronger economy for everyone. Can the Minister of Advanced Education and Training tell us about the important announcement she made this morning to help more Manitobans build a good future here at home?
The Honourable Minister of Advanced Education and Training.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, and I want to thank the member from St. River for the best question of the day. It was with immense pleasure that I stood alongside Jim Silver and many, many other advocates for adult education at Urban Circle today, where we invested an additional $2.5 million towards adult education. And after the members opposite did absolutely nothing for adult basic education, our government is proud to announce that this year alone, $24.9 million, and that goes towards hope. That goes towards transformation. That is mums and aunties and dads creating opportunities for themselves and their families and becoming
time
the role
has expired.
models.
The honourable member for Lakeside.
Honourable Speaker, the Municipal Board already faces a significant backlog, yet this NDP government keeps adding new responsibilities without adding new resources. Now the board is expected to adjudicate restrictive grocery store covenants and oversee major municipal projects, all with no meaningful increase in funding or staffing. How does the minister expect the municipal board to do more with less without bringing property assessment appeals and municipal development to a grinding halt?
The Honourable First Minister.
Honourable Speaker, we've added staffing to the municipal board because we're asking them to do a very important job, to knock down these anti-competitive real estate contracts that are making your grocery prices more expensive. But listening to the member opposite, it sounds like he supports the big grocery chains. It sounds like he's cheering on Galen Weston. He's cheering on these companies that are more profitable than ever, even as you pay more and more and more. We're going to continue to oppose the more expensive PC approach. We're going to work together with you to make your grocery prices more expensive. Yeah, with the municipal board, because we kind of have to as a result of Pallister, but more importantly with you, by also cutting the tax on all groceries in Manitoba.
The Honourable Member for Lakeside on a supplementary question.
Manitobans who appear before the municipal board deserve timely and fair decisions, but this government is piling on additional quasi-judicial duties while refusing to provide the resources needed to handle them. The result will be longer delays, growing backlogs, more resignations due to workload, and prejudice to everyone relying on the board's decisions. Why is this NDP government overloading the municipal board while forcing Manitobans to pay the price through delay and procedural gridlock?
The Honourable First Minister.
Not at all. Actually, we're adding staff to the municipal board. But if you want to get to the root cause of so much of the economic headwinds Canada is facing, you got to look south of the border to Donald Trump. Here is a Truth Social post, whatever that is, from February 1st of this year, and he says, "Today I have implemented a 25% tariff on imports from Mexico and Canada." But I'd like the member opposite to note that one of the top replies that's visible in this country to that post announcing tariffs is from the member for Spruce Woods saying, "I am so sorry that you have to do this to us." Newsflash, PCs, Donald Trump didn't have to do this, and shame on you for selling out our country.
The Honourable Member for Lakeside on a final supplementary question.
Honourable Speaker, this government needs the support of development and economic growth, yet it continues to expand the municipal board's mandate without expanding its capacity. More workload with no additional resources means slower approvals, stalled projects, and delayed assessment appeals across Manitoba. Will the minister admit that this government's approach is forcing the municipal board to do more with less, while municipalities, businesses, and homeowners are left waiting longer and longer for decisions?
The Honourable First Minister.
No, we passed the Freedom Bill to set municipalities free from the overreaches of Brian Pallister's legislative agenda. Now, I'll read you another X post, whatever that is, from Althea Raj, where she's resharing an article saying Republican senator says U.S. should have bought Canada for cost of relief. Of course, the member for Spruce Woods responded to that saying, "Sold." Wow. We will never sell our country. We will never be the 51st state. And I will table the documents of the PC treachery so everyone can see how they would sell us out for a nickel and they would bow down to Donald Trump. On this side of the House, we will stand for the true north, strong and free. We will strike down the taxes at the grocery store, and we'll continue to work together to make Manitoba a wonderful place for our children's generation.
The Honourable Member for Agassiz.
In the middle of an affordability crisis, this government continues to ignore the realities Manitobans are facing each and every day. I've spoken with families who are struggling to afford basic necessities, families who don't know how they'll pay to register their vehicle, let alone put gas in it. With Manitobans facing the highest inflation in Canada, why is this minister failing to deliver real results here for Manitobans?
The Honourable Minister of Families.
The member for Agassiz knows that that's not true, but what is true is the Manitoba PCs are standing in the way of passing BITSA, a bill that will bring relief for groceries, for free childcare, for free transit for youth. That's what's true, that the Manitoba PCs, while they pretend that they are a party for the people, it is only the people that are rich that fill their coffers in their PC party. So the question is, will the Manitoba PCs support BITSA and pass it today?
Hear, hear.
Order, please. There are some guests in the gallery I would like to introduce. I would draw the attention of all honourable members to the public gallery, where we have with us today Martina Riva, Serafina Mitten, and Louisa Mitten, who are guests of the Honourable Minister of Families. And on behalf of all honourable members, we welcome you here today. And the time for oral questions has expired. Petitions. The Honourable Member for Midland.
Midland.
The Honourable Member for Midland.
Honourable Speaker, I wish to present the following petition. To the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba. The background to this petition is as follows. 1. Children with disabilities often require childcare beyond the age of 12. Children with disabilities aged 12 to 17 face a gap in publicly available care programs. 2. The current adolescent care service model creates undue hardship on caregivers. 3. While developing children may be entering into extracurricular activities, school clubs, or spending time with friends independently, children with disabilities have reduced opportunities for such social and recreational opportunities due to the lack of spaces. 4. The current self-managed adolescent care models place additional workloads onto already stressed families, requiring parents to seek all alternative options and prove their need for care. 5. The current adolescent care system, as part of overall respite and support available to families, is failing families of children with disabilities, as identified in the Manitoba Advocate for Children and Youth's Bridging the Gaps report. 6. To date, none of the 9 recommendations it contains have been completed beyond 50%. 7. The recommendations in this report touch on many of the issues facing families, with adolescent care being but a small component of their overall needs. We petition the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows. 1. To urge the provincial government to fully implement recommendations in the Bridging the Gaps report. 2. To urge the provincial government to immediately implement official policies and procedures that are more respectful and collaborative, which also minimize harm faced by families seeking help from Children's Disability Services. 3. To urge the Minister of Families to arrange for a full review of employment supports provided by Children's Disability Services for children with disabilities aged 12 to 17, including direct consultation with impacted families and to explore a full spectrum of options to support families, empowering them to choose solutions that best fit their needs. This is signed by Jeremy Saludik, Colleen Saludik, Chris Burnell, and many, many, many more Manitobans.
The honourable member for Red River North.
Wish to present the following petition to the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba. The background of this petition is as follows. Number one, thanks to the investment made under the previous PC provincial government as part of the Clinical and Preventative Services Plan, construction for the new Portage Regional Health Facility is well underway. The facility and surrounding community would greatly benefit from added diagnostic machinery and equipment, but specifically to the addition of an MRI machine. Number two, an MRI machine is a non-invasive medical imaging technique that uses magnetic field and computer-generated radio waves to create detailed images of organs and tissues in the human body. It is used for disease detection, diagnosis, and treatment monitoring. Number three, Portage La Prairie is centrally located in Manitoba and is on the number 1 highway in the Southern Health Saint-Sud Health Authority. Currently, there is only one MRI machine in the RHA. Number four, an MRI machine located in the Portage Regional Health Facility will reduce transportation costs for patients, as well as reduce the burden on stretcher services and ambulance use. It will bring care closer to home and reduce wait times for MRI scans across the province. Number five, located around Portage La Prairie are the Dakota Teepee, Dakota Plains, Sandy Bay, and Long Plain First Nations reserves. Indigenous peoples in Canada disproportionately face barriers in access to services and medical care. An MRI machine located in the Portage Regional Health Facility will bring care closer to their home communities and provide greater access to diagnostic testing. Number six, located in close proximity to the new Portage Regional Health Facility is the Southport Airport. This aerodrome has a runway length that is more than adequate to support medical air ambulance services. This would provide the opportunity to transport patients by air from more remote communities to access MRI imaging services. Number seven, the average wait times for Manitobans to receive an MRI scan is currently 6 to 8 months. Having an MRI machine in the Portage Regional Health Facility will help reduce these wait times for patients and provide better care sooner. We petition the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows. To urge the provincial government to support the investment and placement of an MRI machine in the Portage Regional Health Facility in Portage La Prairie, Manitoba. This petition is signed by Jeff Dickinson, Loretta Cortez, Dave Voorhees, and many more Manitobans. Thank you.
The honourable member for Borderland.
I wish to present the following petition. To the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba, these are the reasons for this petition. Number one, persons struggling with mental health as their sole condition may access medical assistance in dying unless Parliament intervenes. Number two, suicide is often a symptom of mental illness, and suicide is the second leading cause of death for Canadians between the age of 10 and 19. Number three, there have been reports of the unsolicited introduction of medical assistance in dying to non-seeking persons, including Canadian veterans, as a solution for their medical and mental health issues. Number four, legal and medical experts are deeply concerned that permitting Canadians suffering from depression and other mental illnesses to access euthanasia would undermine suicide prevention efforts and risk normalizing suicide as a solution for those suffering from mental illness. Number 5, the federal government is bound by the Charter of Rights and Freedoms to advance and protect the life, liberty, and security of its citizens. Number 6, Manitobans consider it a priority to ensure that adequate supports are in place for the mental health of all Canadians. And number 7, vulnerable Manitobans must be given suicide prevention counselling instead of suicide assistance. Number 8, the federal government should focus on increasing mental health supports to provinces and improve access to these supports instead of offering medical assistance in dying for those with mental illness. We petition the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows. Number 1, to urge the provincial government to lobby the federal government to stop the expansion of medical assistance in dying to those for whom mental illness is the sole condition. And number 2, to urge the provincial government to lobby the federal government to protect Canadians struggling with mental illness by facilitating treatment, recovery, and medical assistance in living, not death. This petition has been signed by Lisa Sawatsky, Susan Peters, Lisa Penner, and many, many Manitobans.
The honourable member for Portage-La Prairie.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I wish to present the following petition. The background to this petition is as follows. Kelly Verway, a beloved young woman from Portage-La Prairie, was tragically killed in a car crash caused by a repeat violent offender with a long criminal history. Number 2, despite repeated violations of his bail conditions, the offender was free to roam the streets and to ultimately claim Kelly's life. This tragedy was entirely preventable. Number 3, while the criminal code falls under federal jurisdiction, provinces have been given the responsibility for the administration of justice, allowing for meaningful provincial action on bail reform to ensure public safety. Number 4, other provinces have taken proactive steps to strengthen bail enforcement, but Manitoba has not used all the available tools to address this issue effectively. Number 5, the provincial government has the ability and the responsibility to advocate for and implement measures that protect its citizens by ensuring that repeat violent offenders are not released into our communities without the proper safeguards. Number 6, immediate action is required to close gaps in the justice system that allow dangerous criminals to remain free, which puts innocent Manitobans at risk. We petition the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows. Number 1, to urge the provincial government to take immediate and decisive action on bail reform to address serious deficits in enforcement by utilizing all available provincial mechanisms to strengthen warrant enforcement, increasing bail supervision, and opposing release of offenders, thus ensuring that repeat violent offenders are held accountable and that public safety is prioritized over leniency, and to urge the provincial government to lobby the federal government to immediately repeal provisions of the criminal code that allow for the continued victimization of law-abiding Manitobans while granting repeat offenders additional rights. This is signed by Ron Petker, Brianna Renard, and Greg Oakey, and many, many more Manitobans. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
The honourable member for The honourable member for Turtle Mountain.
Wish to present the following petition to the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba. The background of this petition is as follows. Number one, thanks for the investment made under the previous PC provincial government as part of the Clinical and Preventative Services Plan. Construction of a new Portage Regional Health Facility is well underway. The facility is surrounded, the community would greatly benefit from it. Diagnostic machinery and equipment, but specifically an addition of a MRI machine. Number two, an MRI machine is a non-invasive medical imaging technique that is used for magnetic field and computer-generated radio waves to create detailed images of organs and tissues in the human body. Is used for disease detection, diagnosis, and treatment monitoring. Number three, Portage la Prairie is centrally located in Manitoba and is on the #1 highway in the South Health Santé Sud Health Authority. Currently, there is only one MRI machine in that RHA. Number four, an MRI machine located at the Regional Health Facility will reduce transportation costs for patients as well as reduce the burden of stretcher services and ambulance use. It will bring care closer to home and reduce wait times for MRI scans across this province. Number five, located around Portage la Prairie are the Dakota Teepee, Dakota Plains, Sandy Bay, and Long Plains First Nation reserves. Indigenous peoples in Canada disproportionately face barriers in access to service and medical care. An MRI machine located in the Portage Regional Health Facility will bring care closer to their home communities and provide greater access to diagnostic testing. Number six, located close proximity to the new Portage Regional Health Facility is the Southport Airport. This aerodrome has a runway length that is more than adequate to support medical air ambulance services. This would provide the opportunity to transport patients by air from more remote communities to access MRI imaging services. Number seven, the average wait times for Manitobans to receive an MRI scan is currently 6 to 8 months. Having an MRI machine in the Portage Regional Health Facility will help reduce these wait times for patients and provide better care sooner. We petition the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows: to urge the provincial government to support the investment and replace the MRI machine in the Portage Regional Health Facility in Portage la Prairie, Manitoba. This has been signed by Lorraine Giesbrecht, John McCurry, and Heather Sharp, and many other Manitobans.
The honourable member for Agassiz.
I wish to present the following petition to the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba. The background to this petition is as follows. Number one, children with disabilities often require childcare beyond the age of 12. Children with disabilities aged 12 to 17 face a gap in publicly available care programs. Number two, the current adolescent care service model creates undue hardship on caregivers. Number three, while developing children may be entering into extracurricular activities, school clubs, or spending time with friends independently, children with disabilities have reduced opportunities for such social and recreational opportunities due to the lack of spaces. Number four, The current self-managed adolescent care models place additional workloads on already stressed families, requiring parents to seek all alternative options and prove their need for care. Number 5, the current adolescent care system, as part of overall respite and support available to families, is failing families of children with disabilities, as identified in the Manitoba Advocate for Children and Youth's Bridging the Gaps report. Number 6, to date, none of the 9 recommendations it contains have been completed beyond 50%. Number 7, the recommendations in this report touch on many of the issues facing families, with adolescent care being but a small component of their overall needs. We petition the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows. Number 1, to urge the provincial government to fully implement recommendations in the Bridging the Gaps report. Number 2, to urge the provincial government to immediately implement official policies and procedures that are more respectful and collaborative, which also minimize harm faced by families seeking help from Children's Disability Services. Number 3, to urge the Minister of Families to arrange for a full review of employment supports provided by Children's Disability Services for children with disabilities aged 12 to 17, including direct consultation with impacted families, and to explore a full spectrum of options to support families, empowering them to choose solutions that best fit their needs. This petition has been signed by Joanne Curry, Robert Curry, and Linda Rithine. Thank you.
The honourable member for Steinbach.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I wish to present the following petition to the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba, and the background to this petition is as follows. 1, the intersection of Provincial Trunk Highway 75, PTH 75, and Provincial Road 305, PR 305, at St. Agath has become increasingly dangerous for motorists and pedestrians. 2, over the past 7 years, there have been at least 20 accidents at this location, resulting in injuries and fatalities. 3, this intersection is heavily used by community members, commuters, and commercial traffic, making safety improvements critical. 4, immediate action is needed to mitigate accidents and prevent further loss of life. 5, an in-service road safety review was completed in 2022, which included recommended improvements but no action plan. 6, immediate action and implementation on the maintenance issues and short-term strategies identified in 2022 study are needed. 7, development of an action plan with timelines for the medium-term strategies identified in the 2022 study is required. 8, installation of traffic lights or a controlled signal system will make the intersection safer. 9, additional strategies such as reduced speed limits approaching the intersection and the addition of rumbo strips to alert drivers of the upcoming intersection will save lives. 10, construction of dedicated turning lanes to reduce collision risk and other traffic calming designs will help reduce collisions, injuries, and fatalities at the intersection. We petition the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows. 1, to urge the Minister of Transportation and Infrastructure to undertake safety improvements at the intersection of PTH 75 and PR 305 at St. Agath, and 2, to urge the Minister of Transportation and Infrastructure to prioritize measures that will reduce accidents and fatalities, including but not limited to those outlined in the 2022 In-Service Road Safety Review. And Honourable Speaker, this petition is signed by Brianna Dorms, Jody Hutchison, Jen McGuire, and many other fine Manitobans. Thank you, sir.
No further petitions. The Honourable Government House Leader.
Rule
Rule 34, bracket 11, I am announcing the private members' resolution to be considered on the next Tuesday of private members' business. Will be one put forward by the honourable member for Dawson Trail. And the title of the resolution is Rights of an Independent Member of the Legislative Assembly.
It has been announced that pursuant to Rule 30, excuse me, pursuant to Rule 34, bracket 11, the private members' resolution to be considered on the next Tuesday of private members' business will be one put forward by the honourable member for Dawson Trail, and the title of the resolution is Rights of an Independent Member of the Legislative Assembly. Grievances, orders of the day. The Honourable Government House Leader.
Honourable Speaker, can you please call Committee of Supply?
It's been announced that we will now resolve into Committee of Supply to consider estimates from the following departments
the Committee of Supply please come to order? This section of the Committee of Supply will now consider the estimates of Executive Council. Does the Honourable First Minister have an opening statement? Yes. The Honourable First Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and all the members here at the committee. This year's budget is a remarkable document. It has a strong economic plan to build the infrastructure necessary for our province to succeed in the coming decades, while at the same time bringing in many affordability measures that the average family across our province has been asking for and really deserves. We've also increased our investments in healthcare to meet the needs of those working on the front lines, ensuring that we continue to build a state-of-the-art healthcare system, many parts of which are providing new services to Manitobans that have never been seen in this province before. We continue to invest in education and ensure that young people in the province are being put on a pathway to further success in the future. And we are also ensuring that the future of the province will be catalyzed by investments in the Port of Churchill, as well as other mega projects to bring the energy economy to a new level. So we're doing that along with being very responsible when it comes to the bottom line. We've got the lowest deficit in all of Canada prior to Trump starting the ill-fated Iran war, that is. And through calm fiscal stewardship and management, we'll be able to deliver on that for the people of Manitoba. We're very pleased to see the ratings agencies across the country respond very, very positively to our budget document. The Bank of Montreal titled their note, for example, about budget 26-27, Manitoba, surplus is calling. The bottom line, they said in their write-up, Manitoba looks to be on track to achieve surplus by fiscal year 27-28, despite a backdrop of elevated uncertainty. Then, of course, they go on to give a lot of credit to the wonderful economy that we have in the province, brought to life by many workers, employers, and people working in the public sector. We've also seen that the National Bank of Canada says that our real GDP growth numbers projected this year are in line with the previous budget forecast and the year before that, which shows that not only are we in line, in their words, with the growth observed in the country as a whole, it also means that we have a credible fiscal document before you, Mr. Chair. At the time that RBC was writing, they said that we were the 7th province to table our 26 budget. Of course, they've all now tabled their budgets. And they said that our new numbers don't look as challenged as several others. And so Manitoba, and I quote from RBC, claims the smallest 2026-27 deficit to GDP ratios and is one of the few provinces charting a path to balance. So you have to look at the budget as a cohesive plan to help families out with affordability, to help students out with learning, to help patients out with accessing health care in more convenient and close-to-home ways, as well as responding to the needs that Manitobans have articulated across a variety of areas, including highways, where we've increased the overall infrastructure budget, emergency measures, where we've added staff, as well as in the wildfire service, and of course, made the necessary public safety investments that people have been asking for many, many years. And so this year we've continued our tradition of adding at least a dozen police officers. I was very proud to share the news in Brandon last week that we're pretty far along with negotiations with their city and their police service to add 4 additional officers there in the hub of the Westman. So we see a very, very positive future in which we are diligently and responsibly stewarding the public purse, making sure that we meet the needs of Manitobans today with the services that they rely on, that we're investing in the economic growth potential for the future of our province. And of course, we're doing all of that while still ensuring that the province's credit rating is going to be very, very strong and improved during our time in office. Manitobans made a choice to invest their confidence in our administration. When they did so, they were voting for health care. They were voting for affordability. They were also rejecting division and catchphrases attempting to masquerade as substantive public policy. And as a result of Manitobans showing their confidence in us, I think our entire team has felt very, very responsible to deliver on the priorities. So before going back to the people of Manitoba and asking for another mandate to govern, I think it will be very, very important for us to tell the people of Manitoba how we've kept our promises to them. Now, in the last election, we of course ran on 5 promises to staff up healthcare, to build the Victoria ER, to freeze hydro rates, to cut the gas tax, and to reduce chronic homelessness to 0 over 2 terms. As part of that policy agenda, we also made a commitment to balance the budget within our first term in office, which, as you see, the rating agencies say that we're on track to do. And then the Progressive Conservative Party, of which the members opposite were all participants in, decided to make the landfill search a part of the campaign as well. We were content to simply say that we would search the landfill and then leave it at that. However, they thought that that would be wedge politics or some other kind of stunt or tactic to their benefit. And so that became an election commitment that we were measured against as well too. And then in office, we found out that they had tried to force through the approval of an unpopular silica mine in one of their backyards, as represented by a member who's no longer sitting in their caucus. And credit to the civil servants who turned back that unconstitutional request. And we saw 3 of their colleagues fined as a result of their activities. So I'd add another item to our agenda, which is to defend democracy. So if we were going to go to the polls, I would want to tell Manitobans that we kept our word. And I invite you, Mr. Chair, to consider what our track record says in office. We've hired more than 4,000 healthcare staff. The Victoria Emergency Room is under construction. There's a clear path to balancing the budget, as identified by the big banks and rating agencies in the country. We froze hydro rates in 2025. We cut the gas tax immediately upon taking office. We searched the landfill and brought home Mercedes and Morgan, and we are defending the democracy that we all hold dear from the likes of the member for Red River North, Heather Stephenson and Cliff Cullen. So if it's time to go knock on doors, I feel very, very good about saying promise kept, more work to do, and there's a whole heck of a lot to lose if we ever go back to the Manitoba PCs. And so we are here today to do our part on the Committee of Supply to help the budget process move forward. I think the most top of mind budgetary measure, at least as seen in media coverage as recently as today, is the cut to the provincial sales tax. And so I'm here to cut your grocery prices. And happy to take whatever questions we'll see from the members opposite in order for this budget to move forward and for us to be able to maintain another commitment, which is to reduce the price of your groceries by eliminating the sales tax on all food and drink and groceries by Canada Day of this year. We want the opposition to pass our budget implementation bill as well as the estimates process so that there can be no controversy and no room for interpretability when it comes to the implementation of this budget bill. I recognize that they have to put on a show of bravado and issue threats and critiques, that's fine. But realistically, I do expect them to play ball and to fold and to pass this budget. They know it's a good bill. They know it's a good budget. So do the people of Manitoba. And if not, I'm very happy to talk to people in Manitoba all summer long about our record in office to date and why we deserve more time to be able to do more things for this wonderful province.
We thank the Premier for those comments. Does the Leader of the Official Opposition have an opening remark? The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I want to thank the committee and all the members who have attended today. I mean, there's so much to go off of what the Premier just said, and I think everything he said could not be further from the truth if you tried. And it's telling that he talks about the past, but he has no indication of the future, because he has no plan for the future. And that is very telling of this Premier. So he'll continue to heckle me as I'm trying to do my opening statement.
Order. I'll just go to the First Minister on his point of order. The Honourable First Minister.
Yeah, I think right off the top of the member's statement, it is very clear that he's using language at the very least, which is worthy of a caution for being unparliamentary, but may also be worthy of a ruling as being unparliamentary. And so, of course, I will make reference to a rule that says we are not to impugn others on questions of credibility. Yeah, and I'll even do the chair a favor of writing it in at that, and not say anything further. I did cite a rule, the one that says you can't lie.
The
If you want to get called to the bar, put the work in. But while you're here, you're in my house.
Order. On the same point of order?
Yeah. Oh, leader's not allowed to talk.
The Honourable Member for Interlake Gimli.
Yeah, it's not a point of order. He didn't cite any rules that were broken, and that's been used numerous times in this chamber by that member that asserted the point of order. Thank you.
So while it's not a point of order, I will caution all members to not move too close to language that would insinuate or imply that other members are not telling the truth. The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, for standing your ground and agreeing that that was not a point of order by the Premier.
The Honourable First Minister on a point of order.
By saying you're standing your ground, mistakenly kind of trying to create some sort of back and forth between you and I, he is reflecting on the chair, which is clearly a violation of the rules and also inappropriate when it comes to the role that you have, which is, of course, to defend our democracy, one of our soon-to-be campaign commitments.
The Honourable Member for Interlake Gimli on the same point of order.
Yeah, that's obviously not a point of order. He was not reflecting on the chair. He was just agreeing with your ruling and thanking you for your steadfast service to this great building that we sit in.
So that was not a point of order, but I do appreciate every member's commitment to not drawing the chair into the debate. The honourable member the honourable leader of the official opposition.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and the Premier's off to a rocky start here with an 0-2 start, and we're less than a minute into my opening remarks, so it doesn't look very good for the Premier right now. You know that the Premier's not doing enough to help Manitoban. You know this, I know this, Manitobans know this, and it's sad. You can hear him heckling across the way, laughing, clapping when we're talking about Manitobans and the struggle they're under, and it's sad. 0-2 starts, and it's going to get a lot more worse for him. It's sad that the Premier is increasing tax. Again, he's continuing to heckle me. It's sad. In opening remarks, I didn't say anything when the Premier was speaking. It'd be nice if the Premier could extend that courtesy across the way. He's not going to like what I have to say because what I have to say doesn't align with his narrative. And it's sad that the Premier can't see that he is increasing taxes on Manitobans. He has increased the education property taxes in Manitoba. He's nodding his head no on page 7 of your own budget, over $1.1 billion. And again, he's continuing to heckle me. It's sad that he's allowing property taxes to rise faster than any other jurisdiction in this country. It's sad that under this NDP government, the average increase is over 20%, again, the highest in the country. It's sad that under this NDP government and Canoe government that inflation is the highest levels in Canada. It's sad that food costs are at the highest levels in Canada under this NDP government at 4.9%. But it goes beyond being really sad for this Premier and his dismal NDP government. I think sometimes the Premier knows that he's hurting people. And he knows that he can get out of the way and do the right thing, and his arrogance won't allow him to do it. His own actions in the chamber would dictate that he can't put that aside and see what's best for Manitobans. He won't do what is needed, and that is help Manitoba families. He wants to sprinkle pennies at their feet, get them to beg for a break on junk food. He wants to save them. 7 cents on a can of pop. Congratulations, Premier. He wants to save them. 21 cents on...
The Honourable First Minister on a point of order.
The comments in the committee have to be directed through the chair. You can't say, congratulations, Mr. Premier.
So, order, that was a point of order in that comments do have to be directed through the chair. So, like I said, just a gentle reminder to everyone that comments do have to be directed through the chair. The honourable member, the honourable leader of the official opposition.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So as I was saying, every day Manitobans' lives are getting harder and harder under this NDP government. And Manitobans are noticing it. They notice every time they walk into the grocery store, They spend $200 on bags that somehow still feel half empty, and again, the Premier is offering pennies off of junk food. Junk food is where this Premier wants to push Manitobans. Mr. Chair, they notice it when their mortgage renews, that their education property taxes have skyrocketed. No matter how much the NDP government wants to pass these burdens on to, or the responsibility on to municipalities, it is this NDP government. They notice that every time their rent increases, when their increases are far greater than what they proposed in relief, and when another bill arrives in the mailbox. Life is harder under this NDP government, a broken promise, just like every one of their other broken promises. They promised to fix healthcare. Healthcare is worse now than it is. Manitobans are dying in the waiting room, and the Premier refuses to call. It's sad. It's actually really sad under this NDP government that this Premier will recognize the clear and utter failures of his government. And now he's picking fights with the Manitoba Nurses Union. He's picking fights with the paramedics. He's picking fights with Manitoba Teachers Society. He's picking fight with contractors, 88% of Manitobans who choose to work open shop. And the Premier has made it very clear that he doesn't care what anyone else has to say if it doesn't agree with what he says. And what is this government offering in response to the affordability crisis when Manitobans open their paychecks and realize they have less and less money coming home with them? Pennies. Pennies. Bottle of pop. Pennies on the checkout line. Temporary measures that make for a good press conference, but when reality catches up with them, it's not so great. The Premier is not making any difference when it comes to affordability for Manitobans. That's why our caucus proposed a significant increase to the basic personal exemption. And the Premier wants to laugh. His other members are just sitting there. The Premier thinks it's an awkward laugh. It's true. Because we believe Manitobans should keep more of their money. When you work for your money, you should keep your money. And this NDP government has done the exact opposite. They have removed the indexation of your income. So as inflation grows, you are paying more taxes. That is exactly what this NDP government has done. The more you make, the more they take out of your back pocket. That's wrong. Everyone knows it's wrong. How are you supposed to work harder, study longer, write those tests, get a job, work your way up, just so you can give this NDP government more money so they can spend it on more of their ideological projects instead of actually helping Manitobans? We believe young families trying to save for the future deserve a government that helps them and makes life easier, not harder. We, on this side of the House, believe seniors who spend their lives building this province should not be watching every dollar as costs continue to climb under this NDP. Our proposal would put real money back into Manitoba households, and the Premier refuses to even have a conversation, an adult conversation about that. More than $3,000 for a family with 2 incomes. That's not theoretical, it's not symbolic, that's a meaningful, affordable relief. Money for groceries, money for kids, money for activities, money for rent, for hydro, transportation, and everyday life. And beyond helping families, it would help Manitoba's economy grow again. Now, I know that concept is foreign to the Premier about growing the economy. Under his watch, Manitoba has plummeted to dead last in this country when it comes to economic growth. Companies are exiting this province faster than they ever have, and this Premier is doing nothing to slow that down. When families have more money, they will spend more money in Manitoba's economy. They will support local businesses. They will see more customers. Communities will continue to grow. Opportunities grow. That's how you build a stronger province, by growing our economy, not handcuffing it. This Premier has done exactly that by bringing in more red tape, by bringing in more artificial hurdles, by forcing 88% of Manitobans to join a union. And it's very telling from the very first day, one of the very first speeches the Premier gave was all about unions. Support the unions is what this Premier said over and over again. Not support Manitobans, not support Manitobans' choice to where they want to work by supporting everyone. Dividing Manitoba is what this Premier has done best. And he's done it once again with the Manitoba Jobs Agreement, when every association, open shop association, is speaking out against it. The Premier chooses to not listen. When he knows that saving someone pennies on junk food won't make a difference, he continues to double down on gimmicks, headlines, heckles, insults, and that's just who this Premier is. He'll do it through headlines and smiles, but when the actual work comes, he has nothing, because he's done nothing. This province is failing under this NDP government. Manitoba now is, after Quebec, is receiving the largest transfer payment in the country after Quebec. That is a have-not province under this Premier. And the only plan he has is Churchill, that he magically says will be done in 3 years, when Alberta just signed a deal with Ottawa, which this Premier does not have. They estimate minimum 7 years. Premier has nothing to stand on. And that's why he continues to attack, heckle, insult, intimidate in this chamber. But the Premier, yeah, you're trying to intimidate. See, again, once again, he's trying to intimidate. You're not going to intimidate us.
Order.
You're not going to.
Point of order. Or I will remind members to direct comments through the chair on a point of order.
It was exactly that. He's not directing comments through the chair. So.
The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On that note, with a few seconds remaining, I'll simply say that this province is a complete and utter failure under this NDP government. This NDP government is a failure, and the Premier can look in the mirror.
And the member's time has expired. We thank the Leader of the Official Opposition for those remarks. In accordance with Sub-Rule 78(16), during the consideration of departmental estimates, questioning for each department shall proceed in a global manner, with questions put on the resolutions once the official opposition critic indicates the questioning has concluded. At this time, we invite Ministerial and opposition staff to enter the chamber, and we ask members to please introduce their staff in attendance.
Across the floor. Just heard that really negative speech going there. Yeah, you can't say that with a straight face. Looking at me.
Would the Honourable First Minister like to introduce his staff?
Yes. This is Ann Liebfried. She is Assistant Deputy Minister and the EFO in Executive Council. And this is Mark Rosner, who very famously is the Tories' worst nightmare.
And would the Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition like to introduce his staff? The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And to my left here, we have the Chief of Staff, Danny.
And now the floor is open for debate or for questions. The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and we'll go right to some questions, and hopefully the Premier can have the courtesy and respect for Manitobans to answer the question instead of running down the clock. So I'll ask the Honourable Premier. Average weekly earnings have not kept up with the Premier's tax hikes. Manitoba is leading the nation in inflation. Food inflation is at 4.9%, the highest in Canada. Families simply can't keep up. Instead of offering real tax relief, this Premier is offering pennies that make no difference. $100 a year is what this Premier's tax relief is projected to help with Manitobans. On our side of the House, we are proposing 30 times that. The Premier is offering $50 a year to renters, which doesn't make a dent when rents go up month after month by far more than that. Saving $100 on groceries for a family of 4 does not go very far, doesn't even cover a single tank of gas under this NDP government. He'll talk about the 1.5 cents of gas tax relief that he gave. Well, 1.5 cents is not helping Manitobans. The Premier can take the opportunity today to offer real tax relief for Manitobans. He can re-index the basic personal amount. He can increase basic personal exemption, Mr. Chair, as we've called for. This has proven to have an impact on families' bottom line, putting more money into Manitobans' pockets. Why is the Premier so firmly opposed to making a real difference and helping Manitobans by re-indexing their basic personal amount?
The Honourable First Minister.
Average weekly earnings have outpaced inflation in Manitoba as of the most recent statistics. And if you want to see the difference we want to make, open the budget to page 144. That's a section called Tax Measures. Taxes are being cut in this budget by $50 million. The member opposite received a lot of handouts. Some would say was induced to run by some government's handouts. But when you come from a background like that, then yeah, maybe it's not going to make a difference, $50 million, or it looks like pennies. But for us, $50 million is huge. $50 million is a lot of help. So yeah, you look at the budget document, hundreds of millions of dollars, billions of dollars worth of investment, but also $50 million worth of tax cuts for you, the average person out there. The one that's gotten the most notoriety, of course, and that's page 144 if you want to check. The one that's got the most notoriety is our cut to the grocery prices, and that's because Manitobans have been asking for help with grocery prices for quite some time now. Started under the PCs. I'll table this document for the member opposite. Inflation, when he was sitting at the cabinet table, was 200%, more than 200%. What it's been at any time since we've been in office. He didn't take action. He didn't cut the gas tax. He didn't cut the price of groceries. He didn't offer assistance for all these really, really important areas. We did. The gas tax, we cut it entirely. We cut it to zero first year taking in office. And then we saw how meaningful that was to the people of Manitoba, so we decided to cut it permanently as well. And if you look at the Manitoba Bureau of Statistics report on inflation today, you'll see that we have a cheaper price of gasoline in this province than Saskatchewan does. This despite the fact that they have a refinery in Saskatchewan. So they make the stuff there, but we're paying less in Manitoba for gas. And do you know what amount our gas is cheaper than Saskatchewan? It's cheaper by the exact amount of our permanent cut to gas. So it does make a difference. Now, of course, we help Manitobans out in a lot of different ways. The PCs can't keep up with us when it comes to tax cuts, $50 million this year on page 144 of the budget. But we're also investing in healthcare. And there's a lot of improvements to healthcare that we could point to, such as being able to book an appointment with a physician or a nurse practitioner online by medinav.ca. The presence of health cards instead of health paper that we had under the PCs. In fact, when we took office from the Conservatives, and members from areas like Steinbach will know this, access to a family doctor was worst in the country. Today it's best in the country. We went from worst under the member opposite to first under the best health minister in the country. So, I was reading in the Brandon Sun one time recently, somebody was saying we won't fix healthcare within a term. I can research the person who said that if the committee's interested. So I would say we're making important progress when it comes to healthcare, but we can't turn back now. Can't go back to cuts and chaos and higher gas and grocery prices like the PC's governed on. So we want to continue the important work here, and that's why it's important that this budget passes. Rent. The member made comment to $50. I just want to make clear for the committee, that's a $50 increase. Total amount $675. Where the members opposite cut the tax credit for renters, they didn't want to help renters, they wanted to reduce it. We are increasing it. We're also just going to mail it out as a check or advance it as a direct deposit. Many renters are probably not aware they're getting this sort of help when they do their income taxes, and so that it's more salient and helpful when you're paying your rent, we're going to advance it as a check. And I was asked by the media, who are used to, like Brian Pallister and Heather Stephenson and the PC approach, if I was going to put my face on the checks or something like that, and I said no. It's not like the Trump passport. I'm not going to put my face on anything or sign anything. We're just going to do the direct deposit. We might call it something cool, like rent relief checks, but yeah, things are going good, getting better all the time. Let's not go back to negativity and division.
The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Premier wants to talk about negativity and division. His whole 5-minute ramble was on negativity and division. So maybe he needs to go back and listen to what he's talking about here. And he should also pay attention to the question was on the average weekly earnings have not kept up with the Premier's taxes. Inflation was a secondary point to that. That's inflation is the highest in the country under this NDP government. The Premier's taxes. What we mean by the Premier's taxes is he says that there is a measly $15 million for all of Manitoba, and yet the Premier is increasing it to $1.1 billion. Billion, that's with the B, in case people didn't hear in the room, on page 7 of his own budget. So while he offers $15 million back to Manitobans, he's taking $1.1 billion out of their pockets on increased tax hikes on education and property tax. That's the reality in his own budget. It's clearly laid out on page 7, so the Premier can refer to whatever pages he wants. It's $1.1 billion increase this year alone on Manitobans that own properties in this province. That is a tax grab under this NDP government. They also canceled indexation, which we talked about, and that was what the question was about. The Premier refused to even come remotely close to answering that question. Why does he think it's okay for Manitobans to pay more taxes as they're trying to earn more money? And not only more money, but he's removed the indexation. So as you make more, you're paying more. No other province in the country is doing that, but this NDP government feels it's necessary to tax you more money. And we're talking about people earning more than $15,000 a year. The poverty line in Manitoba is just around $20,000, I believe $21,000 or $24,000. And this Premier believes that if you're making more than $15,000, you should pay provincial tax. And not only that, he's going to take $1.1 billion out of property owners. And when he wants to talk about rent, it'd be noted that the Premier removed the rebates on property owners so that those increase in education property taxes that have to be paid will be paid by the renter, which are far greater than his $50 offset. So the Premier can spin as much as he wants, Mr. Chair, but the reality is life is unaffordable under this NDP government, that this Premier has increased taxes to record highs in this country. Now, when we talk about average income in Manitoba, it's roughly $58,000. The average household income is around $97,000. The Premier has talked a big game about taxing the 1%, but the reality is that it's the middle class that he's coming after. The people that own a house, he's coming after you. He wants you to pay more taxes under his government. And the reality is that he's doing it. $1.1 billion in his budget to cover his irresponsible spending in this province, where healthcare has gotten worse, where Manitobans are dying waiting in the ER, where paramedics are crying out in need of more paramedics, and the Premier comes up with these numbers that are an exact opposite of what the paramedics are actually saying on the front lines. It's families that need help. It's families that need the support to grow their families and thrive. Where we see Manitoba's success story, the Premier sees dollar signs. He seems to forget that there's only one taxpayer in Manitoba, whether it is the federal, provincial, or municipal dues, it comes out of the same set of pockets. He might want to make the municipality the bad guys, but the City of Winnipeg made it very clear that the bad guys in this building is this NDP government. Now, on top of all that, he's planning to collect $136 million more. I'll draw the Premier's attention to page 144 in his own budget, where he's offering families a whopping $28.6 million of relief while collecting $136 million more. Where is the $107.4 million coming from? Is it coming from middle-class families that cannot afford to live under this NDP government?
The Honourable First Minister.
Thank you, Honourable Chair. $50 million in tax cuts in this budget, and that's net. $50 million, $50 million. It's a lot of money. And that is net, meaning anything you see anywhere else in the budget has to do with economic growth or assessments or other factors. But the net impact on an annualized basis is $50 million. That's what we're trying to do for you. Members opposite are trying to delay. Now, when we talk about the homeowners affordability tax credit, it's a good time to talk about how, regardless of where you are on the income scale, your biggest education property tax rebates ever came under our government. If you're a wealthy person, your biggest property tax rebate came under us in 2024. And if you're somebody in the middle class or lower socioeconomic standing, as far as being a property owner, then your biggest tax rebate came this year when it came to education property taxes. And that is what you call progressive approaches to raising revenue. The members opposite continue to push measures that would benefit the rich. We want to benefit you. That's what we're focused on. And so that's exactly what we're doing. This year, in the budget that we're debating here today, tax credits, tax refunds go up for everyone in Manitoba who own property, except for the top 1%. So, yeah, if you have a $1.5 million house, we think that you've succeeded in part because of the schools and society that you grew up in, and you should be enthusiastic about helping other people find a similar level of success. Members opposite look down on you if you're not already a property owner with $1.5 million in assets. And they try to obfuscate, confuse, and muddy the waters to hide that fact. But look at their policies. It always helps the rich. Saw that under the PC time in government. So when we're talking about things improving, we're talking about things improving relative to the member opposite's time in office when he was sitting around the cabinet table. The gas tax is cheaper today than it was when the member opposite was at the cabinet table. The basic personal exemption is higher today than it was when the member opposite was sitting around the cabinet table. That's their big political winner. You want to hit us on the basic personal exemption? It's higher now under us than it was under them. It's a fact. Members opposite can argue with facts like the $50 million in tax reduction on page 144 of the budget, which is the tax measures section, which totals up the impact and then nets it out of all the tax measures in the budget. They would have been better off making an argument to Heather Stephenson not to run the landfill ads. They would be better off arguing with their colleagues who won't show up to vote on matters of human rights for LGBT folks. But instead, they're trying to mislead you, the people of Manitoba. Taxes are better in Manitoba now because they're more progressive and they're lower for the middle class than it ever was under the member opposite's time in office. That is a fact across the board. So, having been beaten thoroughly on the economy, we can look at healthcare. Another emergency room in Winnipeg compared to when the member opposite, in his part of the city too, compared to when the member opposite was in office. I think Manitobans would agree that's an improvement. 4,000 more healthcare workers, that's certainly an improvement. 1,400 of them nurses, that's an improvement. Plastic health cards, medinav.ca, best access to a family physician in the country, more than 300 additional doctors. These are all improvements. Now, of course, we've got a lot more work to do, such as the nature of trying to bring large-scale reforms to a very complicated system, like you have in health. But the members opposite threw the stone and now want to hide their hand. So yeah, I regret having to bring this up in this esteemed committee, but their signature tax cut is something that we're performing better on than they ever did during their time in office. Basic personal exemption is higher today under our administration than it was under them.
Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And the Premier understands that the basic personal exemption will help people earning $15,000 or more, right? I think that's I hope he understands that someone making $15,000, a little bit higher, we're calling on that to be increased to $30,000. So if you earn between $15,000 and $30,000, you will not have to pay your provincial tax. That is not the wealthy. That is the student, that is the minimum wage worker, that might be someone who working 2 or 3 jobs just to get by. We are calling on an increase of the basic personal exemption from just over $15,000 to $30,000. That is Manitobans that need help the most. Premier won't do it. He talks about that they increased the basic personal exemption to $780. We're not talking about $780. We're talking about a $15,000 increase that will actually help Manitobans. That will actually put up to $3,000 back in your pockets. The Premier gets mad. It's convenient that he doesn't never actually list the numbers of what they increased it by. $780. The BPA in 2015 was $9,134 under the NDP government. PC's increased that to over $15,000. The Premier wants to heckle me now when I'm asking questions, because that's what he does. That's what he does. He wants to try to heckle. He wants to intimidate me, Mr. Chair. You can see it happening in here. Everyone around can see that the Premier wants to heckle. He does it time and time again. PC's increased that to $15,000. Now, we're calling on it to go from $15,780 to $30,000, and he continues to heckle. It's embarrassing performance by the Premier right now.
Order. The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, for recognizing that the Premier is heckling non-stop in here. He talks about health care in this province, and it's interesting because this is the one promise this is the big promise they made, and health care is worse now. Darlene Jackson from the Manitoba Nurses Union can't find these nurses that the Premier talks about. There are 3 grey-listed hospitals in the province, the first time in the history of this province of grey-listed, more than one under this NDP government. They can't find the nurses that he talks about. He can't find the paramedics that he talks about, but wait times are longer now than they've ever been in all of Manitoba than they've ever been before. Now, all that being said, you know, this government, this NDP government, has killed the economic horse that he so touted during his campaign. The economic horse will supposedly pull the social cards. Well, the economic horse died in the first year, and now it's $4.5 billion in debt. Now we have the Minister of Families who showed up, and she wants to join in on the heckling too. So more the merrier. More the merrier.
The Honourable First Minister on a order. The Honourable First Minister on a point of order.
I recognize that the member opposite is the oldest rookie in history, being in year 5 or 6 of being a rookie, but you can't reflect on the presence or absence of members in the chamber, which he just did with the member for St. John's, so I'd ask that he be called to order.
On the same point of order, the Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition on the same point of order.
Chair, my comments were not in reference to the presence or absence of a member. It was simply a comment on the showing up to heckle, which is what I clearly stated, which I clearly said that the member had joined the heckling party, which she has. The member has joined the heckling party led by the Premier. It was not a comment on the presence or absence of the member. It was on the heckling from the member.
Can I do a second point?
So that was, in fact, a point of order. We cannot comment on the presence or absence of members in the chamber. And would the First Minister like to bring a second point of order?
Well, it was in the response to the point of order that the member referenced the presence of the MLA for St. John's a second time. So again, I would like to flag that as also a point of order.
So I think we're clear on that rule. The ruling or recognizing the presence or acknowledging the presence or absence of members in the chamber. And we have a glorious 46 minutes together until the end of the day. So I think we can make this cordial and productive. So I would return the floor to the Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition.
Mr. Chair, so I was mentioning before the Minister of Families wanted to start heckling, was that the economic horse under this NDP government has been killed. The one that he so touted as pulling the social cart with Manitoba's economy ranking where it is near the very bottom of Canada. Now with this Manitoba jobs agreement, which is completely dividing Manitobans in where they choose to work. Democratic right for Manitobans to choose where they want to work, and this government has gone forward to divide them. So I'll ask the Premier a very simple question. All that preamble aside is, can the Premier tell Manitobans who wrote the Manitoba jobs agreement?
Mark Robb.
The Honourable First Minister.
Civil servants in the Department of Public Service Delivery. But I do want to take 4 minutes and 55 seconds to object to hating on unions. Again, it's easy when you get the $500,000 golden handshake to exit from your failing juice business to go into politics to criticize unions. But for the average person out there, who's got dirt under their fingernails and has to work really hard, unions are the best pathway to the middle class. Unions are proven to raise earnings for all workers, even those who are not part of a union when unions are present in a community. Only Manitoba PCs could oppose that. And I say very specifically Manitoba PCs because what does their political godfather, Pierre Poilievre, have to say about it? He's pro-union. He can't go on Joe Rogan fast enough and hand over a kettlebell. quickly enough to try and praise unions. What about my friend Doug in Ontario? He's always talking about unions, and on down the list. Even Trump, who this member thanks, is always trying to hang out with unions, but he never praises Trump when he shows up at a union shop. Mind you, I'll be quick to hate on Trump no matter where he is, union or open shop. So yeah, unions are good. Unions are an important part of society. And I was on Golden West Radio a few weeks ago, and well, I guess probably more than a month ago now, but they were asking like about the minimum wage, if we're going to raise it. And I said, well, it's tied to CPI. We want to balance workers and small business. And then the host said, well, what about workers above minimum wage? Have you thought about a way to raise their wages consistently over time? And I wish I would have said this. She's talking about unions. That's a union. That's how you raise the wages of workers who earn more than minimum wage consistently over time. Now, the members opposite don't know anything about that. We came into office and there was a strike. There was a strike. Unionized employees. And it was another one of their silly attempted stunts in the last election. You probably remember where like Heather Stephenson was like looking this direction, then all of a sudden she goes, that's where I draw the line. And like tried to, pit everyone against the people out on the strike. And it backfired completely, along with everything else they tried in the last election, because it's just not serious. If you're a serious conservative, then you should be open to negotiating and working with unions. They are part of the economy. But there's like too much phony conservatism going on in the Manitoba PCs right now. It's too wishy-washy. There's no principle, right? It's just like, okay, we're going this way today and then that way tomorrow. Sounds like an Alberta Liberal to me. I think we all know where that influence is coming from. One day, the member opposite wants to be leading the Pride Parade. Next day, he wants to be the most hard-right anti-trans person, poster child of the anti-trans movement. Then the next day, he's over here, criticizing Indigenous people with the ads that they put up on Route 90. Then the next day, we're not doing consultation enough. And then one day, we're bringing forward a cut to the grocery taxes in Manitoba, and they oppose that. Huh? What? Even when we cut the gas tax to zero, they were still criticizing. Something tells me no matter what we do, the PCs just aren't going to ever praise us. But that's okay. I wouldn't want to be praised by the likes of the members opposite anyways. And besides, the most important thing that we do is serve you, the people of Manitoba. So again, Manitoba jobs agreements, I don't know, let's look at the word. Manitoba, sounds good to me. Jobs, heck yeah. Agreement, yes, we're coming together. Now, who would criticize three great things like that? Well, it's the members opposite. No, well, in his opening statement, he's criticizing the province. Jobs, they don't care about that. They want to govern for people who earn their income off of interest from assets, meaning not you, not the majority. And then agreement. They don't want agreement. They want disunity and division. So we like Manitoba jobs agreements. It's an important way to build things on time and on budget. And if you want to look for proof, Duff Roblin, a real conservative. And he used Manitoba jobs agreements under a different name, PLAs, to build a floodway on time and on budget.
The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition.
I apologize, Mr. Chair. I don't know why the Premier thinks it's funny that I'm coughing, but that's gets his kicks, I guess. Premier took 5 minutes, 15 seconds, answered the question, and then 4 minutes and 45 seconds did not speak. It's clear he's just delaying, filibustering. He doesn't want questions. He just wants to put his own voice on the record like he does every single day, and the truth is catching up to him. Unions are good. We will say unions are good, but so are non-unions. So are open source shops. So is democracy and Manitobans' right to choose where they want to work. It's their right to choose where they want to work, not a government clearly choosing one side over the other, forcing Manitobans to choose what they want. That is what this Manitoba Jobs Agreement says. Winnipeg Construction Association says it, Manitoba Heavy says it, Construction Association of Rural Manitoba says it, Merit Manitoba says it, Clark says it. 88% of Manitobans say that this Manitoba's job agreement is dividing Manitobans. The Premier is forcing Manitobans to go to a union workshop. Clear as day. Now, when I asked him who wrote the agreement, the Premier said the Premier said civil servants. Well, in a FIPA release today from the Winnipeg Construction Association, it is laid out very clearly that, and the document will reveal, I'm sure the Premier's had a chance to look at this, and it raises significant concerns regarding how the MJA framework was developed. It is clear in the document that the union wrote the agreement, that the government had one meeting and then signed on the dotted line, like the Premier was instructed to do by his union bosses. This is a public document that's released out there, so the Premier can, and I'm sure has seen this. The Premier, in the document, it reveals that the Manitoba Jobs Agreement was developed, and this is a FIPA release from his own government. The document reveals that the Manitoba Jobs Agreement was developed by Manitoba building trade representatives and submitted to the provincial government on July 23rd. Approximately a month later, on August 26th, the province and Manitoba Building Trades held only one meeting to discuss the Manitoba Jobs Agreement, and then 13 days later, the jobs agreement was signed. It's clearly laid out here that what the Premier said, when he said civil servants wrote it, that the Manitoba Job Agreement was developed by Manitoba Building Trades representative. It says it in their own document, right here. That Manitoba Building Trades representatives wrote the jobs agreement. This is not a minor administrative policy, said Daryl Harrison, Director of Stakeholder Engagement with the Winnipeg Construction Association. Quote, the MJA fundamentally changes procurement conditions on publicly funded infrastructure projects, affects contractors' participation, alters labor administration practices, and impacts billions of dollars of taxpayer-funded construction workers. So it's interesting the Premier brings up PLAs. Now, that's what they were called before. And on a cross-jurisdictional scan of the country, only 36 PLAs were identified, including private projects. So 36 in the entire country, in British Columbia, Ontario, Saskatchewan, Alberta, and Manitoba. And these average projects had a value of $1.6 billion to $10.9 billion. Not $50 million, not school projects. These are billions and billions of dollars where a PLA was needed, not the Premier picking winners and losers, dividing Manitobans with Manitoba Building Trades representatives. And also, these project timelines were 4 to 16 years. It's all clearly laid out here in this document that is public for the Premier to consume. He already knows all this because this is his own government that did it. So why did the Premier go on the record and say that civil servants wrote this document when it's clear that Manitoba Building Trades wrote this flawed document, an agreement for him? And why is he continuing to divide Manitobans on their democratic right to choose where they want to work?
The Honourable First Minister.
So the member opposite said unions are good, and we are steering members to unions of the province, so therefore we're steering Manitobans to something good. All right, that's it.
The order, the Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I want to thank the Premier for his quick answer there. Thank you. Yeah, I did say unions are good. I also said non-unions are good. I also said open shops are good. You won't say that. The Premier, apologize.
The Honourable First Minister on a point of order.
And I apologize to my colleague from St. John's, who I'm sure wanted to jump in here as well. But we've established already this afternoon that comments must be routed through the chair. Clearly broke that rule. The member opposite did.
was a point of order. Comments have to be directed through the chair. The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition.
Apologize, Mr. Chair, and apologize for the Premier for not directing comment through the Chair, but the Premier clearly said that unions are good. I said unions are good. I said open shops are good too. Non-unions are good. Premier won't say that. The Premier has been very clear that he wants to force everyone who's working in this industry to join a union. The MJA lays it out. Premier does not want to reference at all the document that was released by Winnipeg Construction Association, where it clearly lays out what this Premier is doing, who wrote the Manitoba Jobs Agreement. The one time that the Premier should maybe take some time and answer the question is he just goes on the union angle. So it's clear that on this side of the House, we support everyone. We support everyone's choice to work where they want to work, union, non-union, open shop. And in this agreement here, again, Winnipeg Construction Association and the Construction Association of Rural Manitoba lay out significant concerns in that document when it comes to these projects, the scale of the projects. Billions of dollars on projects versus building a school project for $50 million is what this government has forced shops to go into. In the Manitoba Jobs Agreement, so it's clear by the Premier's non-answer that he will agree with the report that's put forward by Winnipeg Construction Association that this was written by Manitoba Trades. Now, on the issue of the Manitoba Jobs Agreement, within it, there's an 85 cents per hour work on these jobs. We've asked the Premier numerous times on where does these 85 cents go, what is the accountability and the tracking on that. He has said, I believe loosely, that's going to go into training, and we've asked, will there be accountability, will there be reporting on that, how will Manitobans know where their dollars are being spent? This is an 85-cent addition to a project for every hour worked on a project under this forced unionization Manitoba Jobs Agreement. So can the Premier enlighten Manitobans and maybe and tell us where these 85 cents per hour worked are going? Will there be accountability on it? Will there be reporting on it for Manitobans so we can see where that money is being spent?
The Honourable First Minister.
There the member opposite goes again. $50 million isn't a lot of money to him. Page 144 in this year's budget, $50 million in tax cuts. That's what we're here to do. Pass this budget. Let's make sure that you save money, starting at the grocery stores, and $50 million is the net tax reduction across all measures in government. Not enough for the member opposite. $50 million doesn't mean anything to him, but it means a lot to everybody else in the province. And now again, $50 million project. He talks about it like it's nothing. That's a lot of work. It's a lot of people getting training, a lot of people being able to put food on the table, be able to build a career. It's great. A lot of misconceptions out there about Manitoba jobs agreements and project labor agreements. Well, PLAs, Doug Ford uses them. I can tell him if you guys don't like that. It'd be tough to find any volunteers. I mean, it'd be tough enough as it is, but never mind if Doug is mad at you guys. Scott Moe uses them. I can tell him too. Scott's probably got a few volunteers, but yeah, if you don't want them, I could tell Scott. I'll see Scott next week, so we can talk about it. Be like, hey, Manitoba PCs are criticizing your guys' construction policy. Bizarre. I don't know if I will, though, because I'll probably spend more time trying to explain who the Manitoba PCs are than actually talking about the subject at hand. Yeah, no, it is. So yeah. Now, when we talk about people working, everyone, you should join a union if you have the opportunity to. Stronger pay, stronger pensions, better health and safety, and somebody to advocate on your behalf if you're in a dispute with your employer. That said, people don't need to join a union in order to work under an MJA. In fact, I bet at the end of this process, most of the work, building the schools, building the highways, building everything else, is going to be done by non-unionized workers. We just want to create an open door so that there's not a de facto mechanism of keeping union shops out of public construction projects. Now, the most egregious of that was when Brian Pallister banned the use of PLAs. We repealed that, of course. It was just bizarre. And yeah, I mean, the groups that are criticizing, they're going to criticize no matter what we do. They put up billboards and digital ads mentioning me by name when we just repealed that Pallister bill. I mean, pretty reasonable move to repeal a bill that says you can't even entertain a PLA. It's freedom, liberty, and cutting red tape all in one. So I like that. And yeah, I don't know, this is the big reason that we're not passing the grocery tax bill, because they want to ask me about encouraging people to join unions. Yeah, I'm in the NDP. I'm going to encourage people to join unions. They're good. Member opposite agrees. Unions are good. Then his big gotcha moment is like, you're driving people to join a union, which I've just admitted is good. Okay. Not sure what we're doing here, but can we move on with cutting the taxes for the people who vote for us? That's what I'd suggest we do.
The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And what we're doing here is we're asking questions on behalf of Manitobans, non-union Manitobans. 88% of the workforce, and the Premier refuses to even acknowledge them again. Now, the third question said he has not even acknowledged them, where the Premier only wants to talk about unions. We agree. Unions, non-unions, open shop, however you choose to work in Manitoba, that is your right. That is your choice. But the Premier has tilted the playing field to support his union bosses, his union friends, his union shops over everyone else. And we on this side of the House, and Manitobans would agree that's fundamentally wrong. He will not answer the question on when I issued the report, or when I brought up the report by Winnipeg Construction Association. He won't answer that question at all. He hasn't touched the 85 cents per hour of job worked on a job site, and I've asked him twice about those. I asked him clear, is heckling again? He wants to continue to heckle while I'm asking questions. You know, he wants to launch more insults over here, Mr. Chair, or $50 million, and he might not think this, he might not think that. You know, it's below the Premier. It's actually embarrassing and insulting that he wants to go personal attacks all the time in here. I'm just asking serious questions on Manitobans' behalf. And he wants to bring up Ford and Moe. Sure, yeah, they use a variation of a PLA to build projects, but not a school. On billions and billions of dollars of worth of projects, they use a PLA, not for a school project. And this is what the Premier is doing here. But it's interesting, brings up volunteers. Again, he's heckling and laughing.
Awkward laugh.
So
sensitive. No, it's not a matter of sensitivity. It is a matter of, decorum. Just listening to the question. I haven't said anything when the Premier is answering the question or delaying, filibustering the day. But I'll ask the Premier again. Who wrote the Manitoba Jobs Agreement? In this document released by Winnipeg Construction Association from a FIPA by your own government says the document reveals the Manitoba Jobs Agreement was...
I'll remind members to direct comments through the chair. The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition.
For your wisdom, Mr. Chair, on that. Appreciate it. The document reveals the Manitoba Job Agreement was developed by Manitoba Building Trades Representative and submitted to the provincial government on July 23rd, 2025. The province and Manitoba Building Trades held only one meeting on August 26, 2025 to discuss the Manitoba Jobs Agreement, just over a month later from when Manitoba Building Trades representative submitted it to the government. A month later, they had a meeting, and the agreement was signed only 13 days later.
Tough negotiation.
It is clear that the Manitoba Building Trades representative wrote this agreement, gave it to the NDP and this Premier, and they signed it 13 days later. This is a major, major violation of Manitobans' trust, It is a major overstep by this NDP government. It is completely wrong. And Sean Woods, I'll quote, the Executive Director of the Construction Association of Rural Manitoba says, "This issue has moved well beyond a normal policy disagreement. It is now a serious public interest procurement issue involving transparency, competition, governance, workers' choice, and accountability for taxpayer dollars." Right. So, I'll ask the Premier, the Manitoba Jobs Agreement requires non-union workers to give 85 cents per labor hour to Manitoba building trades. Where is that money going? Will there be accounting, transparency, and reporting on where that 85 cents per labor hour is going in this Manitoba Jobs Agreement?
Not a chance.
The Honourable First Minister.
Yeah, of course.
The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition.
Premier, thank you. I want to thank the Premier for that quick answer, and I'll ask the Premier, where is it going to be reported? When is it going to be reported?
The Honourable First Minister.
Well, I wish the folks involved would put as much money and energy into building the schools as to the press releases and kerfuffle. Like, let's build some schools on time, on budget. I say that to unions, I say that to contractors. Let's do it. So yeah, I mean, like, it's the government. Everything's going to be reported publicly. The member opposite's alluding to FIPA, which, yeah, I guess it could be FIPA'd. We'll probably report on it, given the fact that we're very proud of Manitoba job agreements. This is like our lead-off election promise in the last election campaign. This is not some sort of like secret thing that we're talking about. We came out, on day one we said you're going to cut taxes. On day two, we went to the building trades office and said we're going to build stuff with union labor. And all the media was there. And what were the PCs doing? Most of them were on vacation through the month of August 2023, which is probably why we beat the brakes off them on election day. And then the rest of them were sitting around patting each other on the back about how great the search of landfill ads were. Oh, right policy, right politics too. That was a quote about what they used to say to one another about the search of landfill ads. Right on the policy, right on the politics. Disgusting. So yeah, I mean, great. We're going to report on it publicly or we won't charge the 85 cents. We won't collect it. Simple as that. Question asked, question answered. Members opposite, though. Members opposite, heckling, who may or may not be present. What are you guys going to do about the complete disregard for the social fabric they were a part of in the last election campaign? There's been no reckoning with that. And so everybody wants to cry around about the quorum? No, we're going to give them a rough ride because of what they did to the people of Manitoba in the last election. Simple as that. They want to criticize Manitoba Jobs Agreement? Okay. Instead of attacking trans children, go back to August 2023 and debate us on job agreements. Did they? No. They chose some real gutter politics, and then now, 3 or 4 years later, they want to show up and make accusations against us. But as you know, like, okay, whatever. It's just kind of gross. You know what I mean? I think you know what I mean. I think everyone knows what I mean. Yeah, of course the members opposite don't know what I mean because they're a part of a cancerous addition to the public discourse of our province. And then they came in here like trained seals and clapped for Heather Stephenson, even after she'd committed the most legendary faceplant in all of history. And that wasn't the low point. It kept getting lower after that. They lost Tuxedo, member for Red River North, member for Riding Mountain. Everyone's quitting. It continues to go down and down and down. Wally Dodrick is single-handedly bankrolling their entire party. What? How? No, I'm not saying Riding Mountain is quitting to those members heckling. No, I said he continues to contribute to the debasement of the party. On this point, they both concede, I would say. So yeah, 85 cents, okay. You got the answer that you're looking for there. But the PCs do not have moral credibility, do not have ethical credibility. They're part of that subclass of politicians who like pat each other. Oh, so-and-so's a good guy, you just got to get to know him. No, you have to conduct yourself ethically in public view. And so, yeah, if I say something about the 85 cents, it's going to happen as a matter of integrity, or we won't collect it. You can mark my words. Everything else, also true. Let them squirm. They've more than earned it. So, yeah, let's hold hands, agree that unions are good, and then go back onto the playing field, put our partisan jerseys on, and see who emerges the victor.
The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And that's the third of the fourth question that I've asked the Premier on the Manitoba Jobs Agreement, citing that he has yet to still say that open shops businesses are good, that Manitobans have the democratic right to choose where they want. He won't. He just keeps saying unions are good, unions are good. This is all the Premier, his complete ideology and mindset is on only supporting union shops and alienating 88% of Manitobans. Again, the Premier across the way, Mr. Chair, wants to continue to laugh and heckle while I'm asking questions for 88% of Manitobans, if not all of Manitobans will be affected by this Manitoba Jobs Agreement. I've asked him 3 questions on who wrote the jobs agreement after his first immediate knee-jerk reaction, and he hasn't commented on that either. He hasn't commented on the timeline and what's asked him to comment on. He hasn't commented on where the 85 cents will be spent per labor hour worked on this job. That is just an add-on. It's just a tax. It's driving the cost up of a project. Everybody can see it clear as day. If you add on an extra 85 cents per hour worked on a job, it's going to drive the price up. CARM, Construction Association of Rural Manitoba, came out and said that this is estimated to increase the cost of a project by about 20%. So Manitobans are now paying for a school that they will never see. They are effectively paying for 6 schools and only getting 5. Or 5 schools and only getting 4, however you want to cut the math up. They are paying for a school that they will never, again, the Premier wants to laugh at this when we're asking questions about a school is being built. And now he's continuing, like this behavior in the chamber is absolutely appalling when we're asking questions on schools being built in Manitoba. It's a 20% surplus charge by this NDP government, and the Premier thinks it's a laughable matter. This is your money, Manitoba. This is your taxpayer dollars that the Premier is laughing at you. I'm asking a question. Where is the 85 cents going? Will the Premier... Now we have the Minister of Advanced Ed who wants to join in on the heckling now. And, the Minister... I won't go down there. I'm here to ask questions. So the question for the Premier is... he now says he's going to report on it. So when will he report on it? And where are those 85 cents being spent right now per labor hour? The MJA is in effect now, with Manitoba Building Trades scooping up the 85 cents per hour worked, labor hour worked. Where is that money now? Who holds it when it's collected? And what is it being spent on? Manitobans have a right to know where this surcharge of 85 cents per labor hour worked is going. Where is the money now? Who holds that money, because the MJA is in effect now, and what is that money being spent on?
The Honourable First Minister.
It's being spent on building schools. They didn't build any of these schools during their time in office. This is their winning argument. I don't know if it's 4, I don't know if it's 5, but they're building schools, and I have some minor criticisms about the procurement process. All right, okay, let's go have the debate outside of the new schools once they're built. We typically report on construction projects after they're complete. I'm sure you'll see all the details at that time. But again, why didn't they do this in office? Remember was sitting at the cabinet table with James Teitzma when they concocted a bizarre plan to try and sell non-existent schools to Bay Street financiers, rich people in Toronto, who would have ended up owning the schools, not you, not the province. And then, to what end? 0 schools. None of them got built. Then, of course, desperation mode, last minute before the election, press release. Okay. I don't see the cohesive political strategy here. They're mad at us for not passing the tax cut that they themselves are blocking today. They're mad at us for using unionized labor to build the schools they didn't build. They're mad at us for coming in here and answering their questions and then having fun while we're doing it. Okay. Well, the member heckling me he's saying I'm the only one having fun is smiling as he says it. Obviously, he's having a good time. Anyway, Manitoba Jobs Agreement. I love Manitoba. I love jobs. I love agreement. When we're all in agreement, that's great. So, only the PCs would find something to criticize there. I had, speaking of Doug Ford and his use of the PLAs, I went to Council of the Federation last year. He was the host, and we went in there, and he always has this thing, he's like, oh, Wobb's NDP, and he tries to razz me for that. And then I go, oh yeah, well, you know what I say to the Manitoba PCs? You guys are broke, you lose elections, and you love Donald Trump. You're nothing like the Ontario progressive conservatives that I know. Yeah. So Doug had a good laugh. He said, that's great. So did all the conservative GR people who were circling us, and I'm sure are probably trying to tell the members opposite they're doing a good job. But hey, c'est la vie. Good times. So let's build some schools. Let's give people some union cards while they're at it. And again, what the evidence shows is that unions raise wages for all workers, including non-union members, when they're present in an area. So when we bring forward support for unions to participate in the bidding, again, open shops will probably do the majority of the work on these construction projects. Workers in Manitoba should be happy that the wages will go up. The member opened his questioning today with a statement that was proven false by the data, talking about the importance of wages. You want a plan, Honourable Chair, to increase people's wages in Manitoba? You got it. It's called the Manitoba Jobs Agreement. You want accountability and transparency? You got it. You want to build schools? You got it. But the members opposite, continue to try and throw shade. I get it. That's what you got to do as opposition. But, creativity, joie de vivre, bringing forward a unique take on things. It doesn't have to be dreary and hateful and negative all the time. And so that's free advice. I probably shouldn't even give this advice. People on my side are probably cringing. Why are you trying to help them? But, God, we got to spend time with these folks on the opposition benches. Shouldn't we at least make it more enjoyable for all involved? It sounds like a decent proposition to me. So yeah, this budget has more schools being built, a new emergency room at the Victoria Hospital, has more people getting union cards to get a good wage. It has a cut for grocery prices. It has a cut for taxes, all of that to the tune of $50 million. It's got more workers in healthcare. It's got more clinics in healthcare. So let's pass it. Let's pass this budget. Certainly the best budget I've seen since I've been here. I've been here 10 years now. The bizarre budgets brought forward by the former PCs resulted in chaos in healthcare and in the broader society, and costs that were held in abeyance artificially for many years. So we're cleaning up the mess.
The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm just going to back up and ask for clarity maybe from the Premier, or just point out that 5 or 6 questions now asked to the Premier on where are those 85 cents going. He won't answer it. How's it being tracked? When will it be reported on? He won't answer when. What is it being spent on right now? Because it is being collected by Manitoba Trades. No answers. When I asked him specifically about the timeline laid out in the FIPA release of his own government documents on the timeline on who wrote the MJA, the Premier will not answer that question. When it brings into question that it was written by the Manitoba Building Trades and that the NDP government signed on to it 13 days later after only one meeting, he will not answer that question either. Now, he does want to talk about schools being built, so let's talk about those 11 schools that are now under construction. 10 out of those 11 schools this NDP government is currently completing were started by the previous PC government. We completed 23 schools in 7 years. The PC's completed 23 schools in 7 years. This NDP government, 10 out of 11 schools are trying to take credit for the work of the previous PC government. The NDP delayed these schools. It's telling that the Premier will not answer the question. Very simple on the 85 cents, very simple on who wrote it, very simple on, he still has yet to say that non-union shops are good. That Manitobans' choice to work where they want is a good thing. That democracy is a good thing. He will not say those things. He says, join a union, and that's it. That is the only way the Premier sees this. He's dividing Manitobans. He's dividing the 88% of Manitobans that want to choose where they want to work. This Premier is clearly against your democratic right to vote. Now, the Premier did say that he, again, you know, it's, I asked the Premier numerous times to please be respectful while I ask questions from Manitobans. This is unbecoming of the Premier. It is unfortunate. I'm just asking to be respectful. I'm asking questions. And this is the behavior we're getting from him. It's unfortunate. So, sorry, Mr. Chair, the clocks have turned off, Mr. Chair.
It's still running on this 223. Go ahead.
The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition.
Oh, it's okay, now it's back. Thank you. So the Premier says, let's pass this budget. Last time I checked, he's the Premier. For now. Last time I checked, Mr. Chair, he has the majority of votes. He can pass this budget. He can do it himself if he chooses to do it, Mr. Chair. He's just choosing not to. He's playing political games like he's done ever since he's now come into office. He has the ability to do it. His mentor and predecessor, Greg Selinger, did it when he increased the PST. Brian Palliser did it when he reduced the PST. His friend and colleague Mark Carney did it in Ottawa when he became a majority government, that they removed the gas tax federally. The Premier can pass his BITSA bill. He can pass his budget bill. He's choosing not to. Even in the legal opinion that he brought out the day of us bringing this forward, there's a typo in there. Steve Lambert, again, the Premier wants to continue to heckle. I'm simply asking him to be respectful while I bring this point forward. Steve Lambert reports that there is a typo in there. Admittedly, that there's a typo in the last paragraph if it says, if the law does pass, that it should say if the law does not pass. Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense. And this legal opinion was written by legal counsel, by the Chief Legislative Counsel that quit the next day.
Chased him away.
Literally quit the next day or the same day. Still working on the timelines of how that all unveiled on that. That's convenient that this came forward, that this legal opinion came forward, names redacted, Chief Legal Counsel's gone the next day. Something seems fishy there. There's a typo in there that doesn't actually make sense. The Premier knows he can do it and pass it. So the simple question is, will the Premier stop laughing?
No.
Nobody else? No. I'm asking about the budget bill. And the answer is no. Will the Premier take matters seriously? Will he stop playing games? He can pass the budget bill himself, so he says, let's pass the budget bill. Why will the Premier not simply pass his own budget bill? When he is the Premier, he has the majority of seats, and he can do it if he chooses. When will the Premier stop playing games?
Okay. The Honourable First Minister.
Okay. Let's pass it right now. Let's wrap Executive Council.
The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition.
I got no problem calling a budget.
The honourable member for Midland.
Premier knows he can. Sorry.
The honourable leader of the official opposition.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Premier knows that he can implement what he's bringing forward in the budget bill. He knows he can implement that. He knows he can implement those measures. What we've called for on our side of the House is real affordability measures, and he knows that. He knows that instead of sprinkling pennies at the feet of Manitobans, offering them 7 cents on a can of pop, that he can pass, he can implement, he can lower the tax right now. Mark Carney did it. Greg Selinger, his predecessor, his mentor, did it. Brian Palliser did it. This Premier can do it if he chooses. He can lower the tax right now. He is choosing not to do it. So I ask the Premier, why is he choosing not to implement his BITSA bill? Why is he choosing not to pass the tax, junk food PST tax, the NDP junk food PST tax that he so claims? He can implement it today if he's choosing to. If he chooses to, why is he choosing not to do that?
The Honourable First Minister.
What would be the political strategy behind not passing our budget? Advances. Okay, we want to pass this budget. In order to do so, let's wrap Executive Council. We'll go back to the main session. We'll ask for leave for an extra 30 minutes to go through the rest of the stages. Let's pass a budget bill right now. I'm done talking. If they want the budget to pass, let's wrap Executive Council right now.
The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition.
Mr. Chair, thank you.
I wasn't serious about all that.
And here he goes again, heckling me, and I don't know what he's trying. So he can implement the changes. He can.
Pass the budget.
He can implement the tax, PST junk food tax like he wants to do. He can do that today. What we've called for on our side of the House is meaningful tax change, is meaningful tax reform on Manitobans, helping Manitobans by increasing their basic personal exemption to $30,000. The Premier doesn't want to go to $30,000. We said go to $21,000, and again, he's heckling me. Non-stop heckling the entire day. Just ask the Premier to be respectful. So you can implement those changes. The Premier can implement those changes.
The Honourable First Minister on a point of order.
He said you addressing me directly when all the comments have to go through the chair. I just want to say I'm here just to cut your grocery prices. Let's wrap this up if anybody else wants to cut grocery prices too.
On the same point of order. 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 So it was a point of order. All comments. Order. Comments do have to come through the chair. So that was a point of order, and point of order shouldn't be used to further debate. I believe it is the Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's clear the Premier can implement this tax, the junk food tax, if he wants to today.
Please, the time being 5 p.m. Committee rise and call on the Speaker. The time being 5 p.m., this House is adjourned and stands adjourned until 1:30 p.m. tomorrow.